Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the City Council meeting for the afternoon of September 26th. Tony, would you please call the roll?
Jimenez,
Present.
Torres,
Present.
Cohen,
Here.
Ortiz,
Present.
Davis, here, Dwan, Candelas,
Here.
Foley, here, Batra,
Present.
Kamei, Mahan.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, if you're able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America
Okay. Today's invocation will be given by Bhai Manmohan Singh Ji of the Sikh Gurdwara of San Jose, and Councilmember Condellis will tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. For the last council meeting of September, I'm honored to introduce members of our Sikh Gurdwara of San Jose. Sikhism originates from the Punjab region of India and was founded by Guru Nanak in the 15th century. The Sikh community has stood strong in their belief to be tolerant, compassionate, humble, and to treat everyone as equals. Sikhism follows the teachings of 10 gurus who have provided divine guidance and a way of life that teaches one to think beyond oneself. Sikhism practices the idea that service to mankind is service to God. This is why community service is one of the main pillars of Sikhism and is practiced throughout the langar, an institution where everyone is served food regardless of their race, religion, caste, or creed. On weekends, the langar at the Sikh Gurdwara of San Jose serves close to 8,000 meals and doubles that on special occasions. My residents are very thankful that such a noble institution calls District 8 their home and not only serves those in the Evergreen and District 8 community, but to anyone who walks through their doors. The Gurdwara has been native to District 8 since 1986, and in fact, I attended the open of the Gurdwara while a student at Evergreen High School. Over the years, the Gurdwara has been a beacon of pride for my district and the largest Gurdwara outside of India, and I was happy to visit this weekend attending the annual Nagar Kirtan and spending time with our Sikh community. With that, I am honored to introduce Sikh leader Surjit Bains to introduce Kamal Kaur, who will be leading us today in the invocation instead of priest Bhai Manmohan Singh Ji, who unfortunately came down sick. Kamal will lead us with hymns from the Holy Book of Sikhism, the Guru Granth Sahib. With that, take it away, Surjit.
Good afternoon to everyone. First of all, I want to thankful Honorable Mayor Matt Mahan and all the City Council, especially District 8 Councilman Domingo, to invite us. And now our volunteer, she's going to have a religious prayer. So her name is Kamal Kaur. Bhai Guru Ji Khalsa, Bhai Fateh.
Hello, everyone. It is an honor as a Sikh American to share a prayer from my faith, tradition, Sikhism. It's the 5th largest religion in the world. Ardas is a Sikh prayer appealing to the one God for protection and guidance, a reminder to uphold the Sikh and American values of humility, truth, courage, service, justice for all, and gratitude for all the Creator has given to us. Ardas is said before and after performing any relevant task. The Ardas is said while standing still, covering your head, and holding your hands. If you can, that'd be great. If not, it's fine as well. There is one God, and victory is His. May Shri Bhagavati be helpful. The heroic poem of Shri Bhagavati Ji, the 10th king. In the beginning, I remember Bhagavati, the Lord, and then I remember Guru Nanak. Then I remember Guru Angad, Guru Amar Das, and Guru Ram Das. May they be helpful to me. Then I remember Guru Arjan, Guru Har Gobind, and Guru Rai. I remember Guru Sri Har Krishan, by whose sight all the sufferings vanish. Then I do remember Guru Tegh Bahadur, through whose grace the 9 treasures come running into my house. May they be helpful to me everywhere. 10th King, Revered Guru Gobind Singh, may be help us everywhere. The spirit of all the 10 kings enshrined in the visible body and the word of Guru Granth. Concentrate on that and say, congregation, say Vaheguru. O true Father, Vaheguru, you are the honor of the meek, power of the helpless, and shelter of the shelterless. We humbly make prayer in your presence to bless the mayor and the city council to help them make the right decision and uphold values of unity and service. Through Guru Nanak, may your name be exalted and may all mankind prosper according to your will. Nanak naam chardi kala, tere paane sarbat da pala. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We are on to ceremonial items. If Councilmember Foley would join me at the podium, we will recognize and proclaim Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
And I'd like to invite my colleagues up if they'd like to join me.
Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Pam Foley. Today, I'm here to proclaim September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in the city of San Jose. While the need for addressing suicide prevention is important year-round, this month provides a dedicated time for people, organizations, and committees to join their voices to broadcast the message that suicide can be prevented. Suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, with suicide being the second leading cause of death for individuals between the ages of 10 to 34, with more than 48,000 people dying by suicide annually in the U.S. alone. I've asked my fellow council members to join me in this proclamation, as suicide touches all of us. My heart goes out to friends, family members, and coworkers who've lost a loved one to suicide. It may be difficult to know exactly how someone is experiencing the depths of depression, but each of us has a critical role to play in reaching out to our loved ones, saving lives, and creating healthy and strong individuals, families, and communities. As individuals, knowing how to reach out in crisis gives everyone the power to make a difference. In July 2022, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline became nationally available by calling or texting 988 to connect with local crisis counselors for both those experiencing a crisis themselves and for those who are concerned about someone they know. The City of San Jose publicly places its full support behind those who work in the field of education, mental health, and law enforcement who work to reduce the stigma around discussing mental health. We encourage all residents to take time to understand and openly discuss their mental health, and to recognize that we need to prioritize the care of our own mental health while still taking care of each other. I'm truly honored to have Assemblywoman Gail Pellerin accept today's proclamation. Mayor Mahan, please present Assemblymember Pellerin with this proclamation as she says a few words.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this is lovely. Wow. Thank you to Councilmember Foley for doing this proclamation, and the mayor and all the city council members here in San Jose. Suicide was not a subject that I thought much about or talked much about prior to November 19th, 2018, when my husband of 25 years died by suicide. 5 years later, it's still hard to talk about. It leaves a grief, a profound hole in our family, our two children who are 25 and 28, his colleagues, his work partners, his friends. Just was not a good answer. And soon after he died, I went to a talk where the person spoke about putting your grief to work. And that really resonated with me. And so I have been an outspoken person talking about my personal experience, talking about mental health. I got elected to the State Assembly, where I serve as the co-chair or vice chair of the Select Committee on California's mental health crisis. And, doing my part to remove the stigma and making sure that we're all talking about it and know that help is on its way and help is available through 988, through your family, your friends, or somebody to talk about. And one thing that's critically important is the language we use when we talk about suicide. So please don't say commit suicide. It's not a crime. You commit a crime. Suicide is an illness, and it's something that can impact somebody where they're extremely depressed, they're without any hope for the future, and they lose their fear of death. So please go out there and be kind. Be kind to each other. Check in with your loved ones and make sure that you are leading by example to make sure that our community can thrive and get the help that they need when they need it. And make sure that it's okay if you're not okay. So thank you all very much for listening.
Thank you so much.
Okay, our second ceremonial item, and here comes D. Along with Councilmember Davis, Councilmember Torres, we want to recognize September as Gynecological Cancer Awareness Month and bring awareness to these types of cancers, because being aware, being prepared can save a life. Finding educational resources, going to the doctor, being assessed, knowing the signs of these cancers can make the difference between life and death. Before Councilor Davis shares some more context on ovarian cancer, I wanted to just take a moment to recognize someone special, a member of the family, the San Jose City family, Dee Berrigan, who's here with us today. Many of you probably know Dee as a community leader in San Jose, a former member of Councilmember Raul Peralez's team, the District 3 redistricting commissioner, and current board president of Silicon Valley Crime Stoppers. Dee is also valiantly fighting against cancer. And Dee, we wanted to take a moment specifically to thank you for the work you've done in our community, serving others. We have a commendation on behalf of the council and the city, thanking you for all the work you've done over the years in many different capacities here in our community. But we also want you to know that we are here to support you. We have your back. We know, we don't know directly, but we know how hard it must be, and we just want you to know that your entire city team here has your back. We're thinking about you. We're praying for you. And if you'd like to share a few words, we just wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe reflect a little here for the audience and then give you a commendation.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks, Dee. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dee Berrigan, and I want to thank the mayor and city council for recognizing such an important event, really not an event, it's a subject here. A year ago, my life changed, and still fresh. So my life changed. I got diagnosed with a stage 4 uterine cancer at the age of 42. And a very scary experience, uncertainty, a lot of fear, but you got to stay strong. One thing I've learned is to be your own advocate. You're going to have to. If you feel something is wrong with your body, don't hesitate. You got to go get it checked. Right now, I feel that women's reproductive health is severely underserved. So if you make an appointment, you might not get one until 3 or 4 months later. So you feel something wrong, know your body, and advocate for yourself. Thank you.
council and the city. So thank you and hang in there, okay?
Thank you so
We're here for you. Thanks, Dee. We'll be continuing to be here to support you, thinking of you, praying for you, and just let us know how we can help. Now, Councilor Davis is going to share a little more context.
Thank you, Mayor. It's important that the women and families in our city are aware of the many gynecological cancers, symptoms, and who they can turn to for help and prevention. Today we have Shay Gerlinger from the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance and Sarah Hawkins from the Teal Foundation joining us also to proclaim September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Ovarian cancer occurs when cells in the ovary grow and divide uncontrollably. These cells may form a tumor on the ovary, or they can break off from the main tumor and spread to other parts of the body. Some risk factors for women are a family history of ovarian cancer, age, women over 50 are at higher risk, obesity, and women who have never had children biologically. A few symptoms women and families should be aware of are abdominal bloating, pelvic or abdominal pain, feeling full quickly after eating, an upset stomach, and frequent urination. This is one of the more silent cancers, so please do not ignore those symptoms. And as Dee said, call your doctor if you feel like anything is wrong. It is really important to go get checked out. Research is being done to determine how we can better detect and screen for ovarian cancer as early as possible. And that's thanks to the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance. With their dedication, we can help more women get connected to the best care, chemotherapy treatment, and support groups. If you would like to support the women and families who are affected by ovarian cancer, you can join the Teal Run this Sunday, October 1st at Campbell Park, starting at 8 a.m. This is the Teal Foundation's 9th annual run, and it is a timed 5K along the Los Gatos Creek Trail. They are aiming to raise $100,000 for ovarian cancer research this weekend, so please come and support the run. Also this week, the Rotunda and City Hall are being lit in teal through this Friday, and I would now like to let Shay and Sarah say a few words.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shay Gerlinger, and about 5 years ago, I was 35 and felt something in my stomach, and being an advocate for myself, went to the doctor and was devastated to be diagnosed with ovarian cancer, having no idea what the signs and symptoms or risk factors were. And unfortunately, I had to advocate for myself because the treatment that they provided did not work, and they told me that we have no more options for you. And so I had to travel the country to meet with specialists to find out who would be willing to do anything to save my life. And I am here today, 4 years without evidence of disease, because I had to fight. Cancer does not discriminate. I am a force of nature. I know what to do. I work in healthcare, and I know how to fight for myself. But there are women in this community who do not have access, who do not have the ability to travel the country and have their needs met by forcing their way in. And so we need to do more than just ask women to advocate on their behalf. We need to create systems that ensure women have access to care and the support that they need. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hawkins, and I'm from the Teal Foundation. And I just want to thank Councilmember Davis, Isabel, Shay for arranging this incredibly important proclamation. My story with ovarian cancer is that my mom was diagnosed at stage 4, and it was a completely shocking diagnosis. It was shocking because she didn't have any risk factors, and I had never heard of the disease. Unfortunately for my mom, like so many women, it was caught too late, and she passed away shortly after the birth of my first daughter. But before she passed away, she started the Teal Foundation in the hope that she could leave behind a legacy to help change things for other women and families. And I'm proud to carry her voice forward here today. We are now holding our 9th annual fundraiser, the Teal Run, which is so much more than a run. It's an incredible event where the entire community is invited to participate and rally behind incredible women like these two, and to honor women who have passed away like my mom. And it's also a day of hope, hope that one day we will find a cure, and in the meantime, do everything in our power to change things. So I invite all of you to come on Sunday and help us make change happen. Thank you so much.
We're on to the orders of the day. Does anyone on the council have any changes to the printed agenda? Okay, seeing none, I will move on to the closed session report.
Thank you, Mayor. We do not have a report out of closed session today.
Thank you, Nora. Next is the consent calendar. Are there any items that the council would like to pull from the consent calendar? Councilmember Dewan, did you want to pull anything from the consent calendar today?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to pull 2.15.
Great. Let's take 2.15 first. And why don't we see if there's any public comment on 2.15?
Is 2.15 going to be pulled for separate comment?
I'm sorry?
Are
Should
we,
we have
is it going to be separate vote, or are we going to vote all together?
Let me ask the council member, did you want to vote on that separately or just comment?
I would like to
Just a comment? Okay.
Just a comment, please.
Okay, and then maybe you can move the entire consent calendar and we'll
So
do
we'll take
public comment on the
full
entire consent calendar. Great catch, Tony. Go ahead, Councilor, why don't you comment on 2.15?
Well, with the end of Abierto Fund, the newly restricted Via Calle and Via Park, just increase the compensation. I'm not sure is it necessary. Additionally, ensuring that $607,000, is there enough money left over for Via Calle, for 3 Via Calle and 100 Via Parks events? And so I have, I feel like that the council have been bamboozled last week regarding this, and I just like to make my voice heard to the council.
Okay. And is there are you asking for more context on this item? Did you want maybe John Cicerelli to share a little more context?
Sure. We'll let John share a little bit more.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council Member. John Cicerelli, Director, Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services. So this contract would not change whether we had done the reduction a couple weeks ago or not. And I don't want you to look at it like we're handing this company $300,000 extra. We're not. Think of it like a line of credit. And as we do events and we need support, we tap that line of credit, pay the vendor to do it. So we could spend $5,000 of that 300 or all 300 of it, depending on how much support we need for all the events. Because there's still 75 Viva Park events plus another 25 Viva Park events that were given to individual council districts. So there's still 100 Viva Park events. There's still going to be 3 Viva Kaya events. The only difference is the third Viva Kaya event, we have to fundraise for all the extras. We have the personnel, but the extras were what we lost as part of that budget cut. So the money's still needed. There's still enough of it, and it's done to support all of that programming.
Would that extra money be enough to, for 3 Via Calle and obviously the 100 Viva Parks service?
Oh, it's enough to support what we have, yes. Is it enough to add more? No.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor, would you like to move the consent calendar as a whole? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilor Torres.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was actually going to pull this item because I'm actually going to recuse myself because I got a campaign donation from Philco. However, I want to let folks know that Phil and his company do a lot of great work in downtown San Jose with so many.
Council member, I think if you're going to recuse yourself, you should probably not comment on the item.
Okay,
well,
no, that's fine.
Just to be safe, sorry.
Okay,
about
no, that's
that.
fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, appreciate it, though. In order for a recusal, does he just not vote, or does he need to step into the green room? Probably best to, sorry, council member.
Well, should we have separate motions?
Does that mean we should take 215 as a separate item and then have separate public comment on it?
So we'll go ahead and vote on 215.
Okay.
Well, someone needs to make the motion. But
I'll
I'd
move
recommend.
approval of item 215.
Great. We'll take that first. Councilor Cohen, was that all? I saw your hand up. Was it just to do that? Oh, okay, it popped up on my screen. Maybe it was just your mic. Yeah. Okay. Any other? I don't see any other hands. Why don't we take public comment on 215 and then we'll vote on it?
Yes, so this is on just 215. I have Paul.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Thank you for that, Mayor Mahan, for that correction that you do not recuse yourself and then make a comment. So I want to extend my gratitude for checking him on that. Secondly, is that these events, Viva Calle is a racial equity issue because we don't have money to go out to like these special events that you have downtown. We don't have 10 or 15 bucks to just, throw and then another 40, to go out to eat afterwards. We don't have that kind of money. We're living on EBT and food banks. That's what we're living on. So we need absolutely as a critical part of government, using the racial equity office, which has been impotent and silent on these particular issues. We need that. We need Viva Calle. We need people outside. We need people exercising. So I want to thank Councilman Duan for his advocacy in promoting the Viva Calles, but I would like it contextualized within the racial equity framework. I mean, I think we forgot about that. This is a racial equity policy was to be instituted as a regular working component of government and how budget allocations were determined. Now, I can't think of any better than Viva Calle, because it gets people outside, it gets people healthy, they get more and more introduced to their communities, and we're all healthier as a city because of it. So I would like the Viva Calle issue talked about and debated about within a racial equity framework, because that is the proper use of the principles by which this city says that it espouses. Thank you.
Back to council.
Thanks, Tony. Let's vote on 2.15 specifically.
Okay, motion passes unanimously with Torres recused.
Okay, thank you. So we will now take up the remaining items on the consent calendar.
Move approval.
Thank you, Councilmember
Second.
Foley, second by Councilor Jimenez. Not seeing any other hands. Do we have public comment?
Paul?
Yes, Paul Sutton from the Horseshoe. Now, I asked politely for a breakdown and a worksheet, whatever you want to call it, a receipt of where my money is going, because this is my money. What books are you buying? That's what I want to know. I want to know specifically the breakdown by genre. How many books are you buying? And I want to know how many books are you buying of that $2 million? It's practically $2 million bucks. I want to know how many of those books are related to the Chicano movement, the farm workers movement, and the lowrider movement. How much of that allocation is going specifically to those? Not Hispanic history, not Latinx history, but Chicano farm worker and lowrider movement history. I want to know. This is important, because these are the books that are stocking the shelves of these public libraries. So that means that the public, you can only be informed and you can only educate yourself based on what is stocked in those shelves. And the library has just barely gotten to a point, where it moved away from calling Mexicans illegal aliens. Just barely. So they're kind of behind the curve. So I want to know, because they have this philosophy now of really honoring and respecting the Mexicanos and the Chicanos that literally built this city. I want to know how much of that money is being invested in the library and the books, so that I know that my community has access to that material and has access to that knowledge. These are legitimate questions to ask with public money that's being spent, and I want the answer. Thank you.
Musa Tariq?
Hi, would it be appropriate to make a comment on 2.7
Yes.
right now? Okay, cool. Good afternoon, council members and Mayor Mahan. My name is Musa Tariq, and I'm with the San Francisco Bay Area Office of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, and we are supportive of the settlement reached in the discrimination lawsuit brought forth by Nabil Haider, a former San Jose police officer. We stand in solidarity with Mr. Haider and commend his courage in speaking out against the injustices he faced. This case serves as a critical reminder that discriminatory practices, regardless of the context, cannot be tolerated, and those responsible must be held accountable. The allegations made by him include anti-Muslim remarks and insults and are deeply troubling. Discrimination targeting an individual's race, religion, or national origin is abhorrent and should never be found in a law enforcement agency or any public agencies for that matter. It is concerning that the city and the San Jose Police Department attempted to trivialize his claims by suggesting that he was a willing participant in discussions that included these offensive remarks. Such tactics only serve to underscore the urgent need for accountability and reform within the department. It is incumbent upon law enforcement agencies to foster inclusive and respectful work environments free from discrimination and bias. We hope this settlement will lead to a reevaluation of policies, procedures, and attitudes within the San Jose Police Department and begin to foster an environment that respects the dignity and rights of all officers, regardless of their background. The community expects and deserves a police force that upholds the highest standards of professionalism, ethics, and fairness. And we urge the San Jose Police Department to use the settlement as an opportunity for meaningful reform and as a foundation for rebuilding trust with the community that it serves. Thank you so much.
Back to council.
Great, thank you, Tony. I think we're ready to vote on the remaining consent calendar items.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We're on to the land use consent item, item 10.1A. Do we have any public comment?
I have no hands.
No hands? Okay, back to the council.
Second.
Okay, motion was from Councilmember Davis, second by Foley. Okay, let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Okay, next we will, as agendized, we will take item 3.6, which is an amendment to the city's pay plan for the Director of Retirement Services and other roles, and I believe we have a presentation. I believe our retirement board chairs are going to do a short presentation. All right, welcome.
Mayor and City Council. I'm Federated Board Chair Spencer Horowitz, and I'm here with Police and Fire Trustee Andrew Gardner.
We want to thank you for, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, for having us here today. We are here to come before you to ask for with recommendations of salary adjustments to our salary ranges. This is a process that we do every 4 to 5 years, and we kicked this process off about a year ago today. It was August, September of 22. When we started this process, the way we go about doing this is first we go back to Measure G, because Measure G outlines the responsibilities for the retirement board on how we address salaries for 4 different positions. That's our CEO, Chief Executive Officer, our CIO, Chief Investment Officer, and our professional staff. And there's 2 different classifications under our investment staff. That's our senior investment officers and investment officers. So as we go back and we look at Measure G, I sort of break it down to three different bullet points on how to look at it. The first responsibility is, establishing a comparable. Measure G specifically states that the board shall consider compensation of equivalent positions in comparable United States public pension plans. And based off of that information alone is the only thing we could use when we come forward with recommendations for these classifications. The second responsibility or bullet point that we jump to is once we have the recommendation or the established comparables, is then the board comes together and we decide on ranges for each classification, okay? Once we establish that, the board approves, both Federated and Police and Fire will approve those ranges, and then we come, the third stage is to come before council with those recommendations. Council then has the purview to accept those recommendations or come up with a recommendation they think is more, appropriate. So the reason we do this is every 4 or 5 years, we want to make sure that we are competitive in the market. And so the way we do that is, let me back up. The last time we did that was in 2018 for the CEO, Senior Investment Officer, and Investment Officer. In 2016, the year prior, we did it for the Investment Officer. So it's been about 5 years since we've done that poll and that study. So here we are doing it all over again. Now, just to note, the last time when we did this study, this data is based off of August, September of 2022. So that's the data that we have been utilizing. We know for sure that in 2023, all comparables have provided some type of salary adjustments in 2023. So we got to take that into consideration. The purpose and the goal behind all this is we want to make sure that we're able to attract and retain top talent, okay? And the only way we do that is by knowing where we are in our comparables. We want to make sure that we're competitive in the Bay Area and then also statewide, okay? Over the last 5 years, I would say, over the last 5 years, it hit me hard in the sense that how important a strong team is, okay? And when you have a high caliber team, it can make an effect on the retirement plan. When I've been on the board for 8 years now, in the first 3 years, I've always asked the question, why are we ranked amongst California peers in the bottom of portfolio returns, okay? And it wasn't until probably about 4 years ago when I realized it's the high caliber talented team that you need to excel in this area. And I found that out once we hired a new CIO and recognizing the strength that we have within our investment staff and professional staff. So with that goal in mind and wanting to make sure that we're able to retain and attract new talent, we started this process. The process that we began with is we hired an outside HR consultant, which we use Coffin Associates. Coffin Associates is is the same HR vendor that we used 5 years ago. And from my understanding, the city, Coffin Associates on the short list for the city when they do similar studies. Coffin Associates came back to us in October with comparables. We have about 7 comparables. Those comparables are Alameda County, Contra Costa County Employees Retirement Association, Los Angeles City Employees Retirement Association, Orange County, San Bernardino, San Francisco, and San Mateo. These 7 comparables were all used in the last study that was done in 2017 and 2018. They look at multiple factors when trying to decipher which comparable to use, which includes asset under management, department size, membership that they're serving, population-wise, location that we're trying to pull from. So we're coming to you with a recommendation, and we actually asked Coffin Associates to come to us a little bit different than our past. We asked them to come with us with a 50 percentile, a 60 percentile, 75th, and 90th percentile salary ranges compared to our comparables. And based off of conversations that we've had with our JPC, which is our Joint Personnel Committee, and both boards, we came with the recommendation of targeting the 75th percent range. Do we have the PowerPoint presentation? Can we move forward? Oh, where? Here? Oh, right there. I apologize. I didn't know I had a clicker. So I'm going to come to this slide. This slide, the previous one, it just lays out the recommendations. But this slide breaks down the different tiers that I was mentioning, the 50th percentile, the 60th, and 75th. And if we look at the left column, the green column, it shows the current salary ranges for each of these 4 positions as of last week when this council approved a 6% increase to Unit 99. All these positions fall under Unit 99. So these all have been adjusted to last week's percentage increase. The center column, the blue one, is what Coffin Associates came up with. This is actually the 7 comparables broken down to the 50th, 60th, and 75th percentile. And it provides the low end of the range for monthly and yearly to the top end of the range for monthly and yearly. And the very last column is in yellow. That just shows you the difference in monthly amount, dollar or yearly amount, and percentage-wise. At this time, I'll see if Spencer has any follow-up questions. Otherwise, we will turn it over to Mr. Mayor and Council for any questions.
Yeah, let me just make a few additional comments. And obviously, we're in concurrence at the Federated Board with the Police and Fire Board in terms of the proposal. Our current CIO has been with us for about 5 years. Our current CEO has been with us for about 10 years. It is highly likely, just based on those statistics, that in the next 5 years, boards will be in the position to recruit and hire 1 or 2 of those positions. So this is a tool for the boards to attract competent management and competent investment staff for the boards. And that has a direct relationship with the returns we earn. Currently, we are above our assumed rate of return on our 5-year returns for both boards, and we want to be able to maintain that record. Why the 75th percentile? Bear in mind, this is a study that's done once every 5 years, so it's a moving target. We may be at the 75th percentile today, but by the end of that 5-year period, we are likely, when compared to our competing pension plans throughout the state, likely to fall significantly below that since we're holding static at that 75th percentile. So with that, I will leave over to any questions that the council and the mayor may have.
Great, thank you for the presentation. Why don't we turn to public comment first?
I have no hands.
Okay, thank you. Back to the council. Councilmember Foley?
Great, thank you. Thank you for that presentation. I am the council liaison to the Police and Fire Retirement Board, and Councilmember Davis is the liaison to the Federated Board. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here. We have a memo that Councilmember Davis, myself, and the mayor have submitted. These boards, as has been presented, are requesting an increase in wages for various retirement positions. But this is a city department, and this analysis affects many other positions, and we want to be fair to all of our departments and all of our employees. So the purpose of our memo is to do some research, to do a salary analysis on several positions within the city in relation to the peer groups that the city is accustomed to working with, looking at a median range and not a 75th percentile range as in the proposal. So it's not, I raise that and I make that comment not to diminish the work that is happening by the CIO and the investment advisors at the retirement boards. They are doing good work, but it is about the relationship between our other employees and how we are compensating everyone appropriately. So with that, I will move the memo, co-authored by the mayor and Councilmember Davis.
Thank you, Councilmember Foley. Councilmember Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with Councilmember Foley when we saw this come forward, and thank you both for your work on the boards. I know it's a very time-consuming appointment that you get from us, and we very much appreciate the diligence with which you discharge your duties. We do want to ensure that the Office of Retirement Services is consistent with all the other city departments, and so that's why we're asking for this additional time and for city staff to do a second look so that we can remain consistent. And that was really the purpose of our memo. So I hope that my colleagues will support that.
Great, thank you, Councilmember Davis. I will also just echo the thanks for your service. There's obviously a very critical role for ensuring that our employees are taken care of in retirement, they and their families. So appreciate your service. I think my colleagues did a good job of summarizing why we feel we need a little more time for analysis, and then we'll come back as expeditiously as possible to take up this item. I know it is important for being able to hire and retain top talent, and look forward to that conversation when we come back. I don't see any other hands, so I'll just pause one more second, and not seeing any, I think we are ready to vote. The memo was moved, yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so we will return to take up that item within 90 days.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are on to item 3.1, report of the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a report today. I'm very pleased to share that the city has recently received several large grants totaling over $18 million, which will provide abundant investments to expand and enhance our delivery of critical city programs and services and make San Jose safer, cleaner, and greener. The California Board of State and Community Corrections awarded the police department an $8.5 million competitive grant to combat organized retail crime. This grant will provide funds to enable the police department to direct personnel resources, acquire innovative technology tools, and provide training and other resources to address this issue. This work will directly contribute to advancing the City Council's increasing community safety focus area. In alignment with our urgent, important, and continuing work in the Transportation and Aviation City Service Area, the United States Department of Agriculture's Forest Service awarded the city $6.6 million to help preserve and grow the tree canopy in San Jose. The funds will be used by the Transportation Department to plant and care for trees along streets in underserved neighborhoods. The Parks and Recreation and Neighborhood Services Department will manage vegetation and engage the community to decrease the risk of wildfires in Alum Rock and Overfelt parks. Lastly, the airport received a $3.3 million airport improvement grant from the Federal Aviation Administration for zero-emission vehicles. These funds will be used to purchase 4 electric buses, which will bolster the airport's ongoing effort to replace its natural gas fleet in accordance with California's transition to zero-emission vehicles in the coming years. I would like to thank the staff in the airport, Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhood Services, police, and transportation departments for their work in securing these impactful grants. I'd also like to recognize the City Manager's Office of Administration Policy and Intergovernmental Relations for their support in coordinating letters of support and engaging in advocacy for grants throughout the city organization. Finally, I would like to thank the Mayor's Office for their advocacy support for the city's legislative priorities at both the state and federal level. So very great news today. Thank you.
Awesome. That is some good news. Thank you, Jennifer. Great team effort. I'll just echo the thanks. It takes proactive department heads, a supportive city manager who has a great IGR team, and then those of us in elected offices adding our voice and writing letters and advocating to our colleagues at the state and federal level and various other agencies and department heads. So it's our city fulfilling our one team values that our city manager always speaks to. Great example of that, and has a really meaningful impact when we can secure these dollars for our residents. So thank you for that great update, Jennifer. Okay, we are on to item 3.3, status of the open audit recommendations. I see our city auditor heading down to the box, and we do have a staff presentation.
Good afternoon, Joe Royce, City Auditor. I'm here with Brittany Harvey from my office to present our report on the status of open audit recommendations as of June 30th, 2023. San Jose City Charter prescribes the duties of the City Auditor's Office, including conducting City Council assigned performance audits of city services or programs to determine whether city resources are being used in an economical, effective, efficient manner, objectives are being met, and desired results are being achieved. At the core of our work is conducting performance audits, which include recommendations to correct deficiencies, strengthen accountability, and improve the efficiency, effectiveness, and equity of city programs. Over the past 10 years, the City Auditor's Office has made 718 audit recommendations covering many aspects of the city's operations. We monitor progress toward implementing recommendations from past audits and provide regular reports on the status of those recommendations, and this report provides the most recent status update of open audit recommendations. This report shows the progress on 205 audit recommendations, 23 of which were from audits issued or accepted by the City Council between January 1st and June 30th of this year. Since our last update, 40 audit recommendations were implemented or closed, and currently another 126 have been partly implemented by departments. For context, the 40 audit recommendations implemented or closed is roughly equal to the average that we see in our usual 6-month follow-up work. I do want to note, because of this rate of implementation of past recommendations by departments, the 165 open audit recommendations being carried over is the lowest number since 2012. As I noted earlier, over the past 10 years, our office has made 718 recommendations to improve or enhance services. Of those, 79% have been implemented or closed. To give a sense of the breadth of the work that's been done to implement recommendations in the past 6 months, we want to highlight a few. Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services, or PRNS, finalized procedures and collected forms to ensure its partners comply with fingerprinting, backgrounding, and other requirements for staff who work with or interact with vulnerable populations in the Neighborhood Center Partner Program. That was from our audit of the Community Center Reuse Program from 2018. Office of Economic Development and Cultural Affairs Real Estate Division completed its market analysis of telecommunication sites, and council approved an updated fee schedule back in June of 2023. That was from our audit of real estate services from 2021. Finance Department and the Environmental Services Department updated information about how to read your bill related to municipal water to align with the current rate structure and provide additional explanations for customers. That was from our audit of municipal water billing and customer service from 2021. Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement, or PBCE, created new procedures to provide additional guidance for staff around tree removal applications and to verify that applicants are complying with tree removal permit conditions. That's from our audit of tree removals and replacements from last year. Lastly, the Police Department updated its website to include information about the gun violence restraining orders, or GVROs, and now includes that information in its community outreach presentations. They've also updated procedures for inspections of firearm businesses. That's from our audit of firearm regulations from 2022. This is just a snapshot of a few from the 40 that we saw were implemented this past year, or the past 6 months. There are 165 recommendations still pending, 126 of which are partly implemented, with the remaining 39 not yet implemented. As shown here in our online dashboard, we classify recommendations by intended outcome. Some are intended to improve operational efficiency. An example from a 2022 audit were recommendations to improve project management and training around the CEQA process from our audit and environmental review process. These recommendations also include business process automation recommendations for multiple different audits. In some cases, the intent is to improve transparency and accountability. An example here is a recommendation from our 2023 audit of the San Jose Conservation Corps to develop performance metrics related to the timeliness or effectiveness of work in the city's next agreement with the Corps for the Beautify SJ program. Other recommendations are included improved service delivery. An example of this type of recommendation includes several from the tree removal and replacement audit, including reviewing the tree replacement ratios to ensure they meet the goals of the community forest program, and revising the replacement policy to include considerations for canopy size and optimal species. Many of our recommendations are risk-based, are aimed at securing city assets. Examples here include past audits include updating the P-card policy, procurement card policy that is, better inventorying city assets, and similar types of recommendations. Lastly, some are intended to address equity concerns. An example from a recent audit includes developing procedures and monitoring mechanisms to increase accessibility to children and youth programs in underserved areas from our 2022 Bill of Rights for Children and Youth audit. Others in this area relate to language accessibility in city materials or signage. This was a new category that we first started to track in the last recommendation status report. I do want to note that the number of equity-related recommendations is likely undercounted, as some in the improved service delivery category may have components that could have equity-related impacts. For example, the tree removal and replacement audit includes a recommendation to develop an outreach plan with the Community Forest Advisory Committee, which could include an equity component. Back in 2018, the City Council directed the City Manager to identify and prioritize work on 12 outstanding audit recommendations while continuing to make progress on other open recommendations. I'll quickly run through the current 12 priority recommendations in the categories that had been identified by Council back in 2018. The three in the area of potential budgetary savings include obtaining more favorable contract terms from golf course operators. PRNS conducted an RFP and brought forward the results to Council in March of 2023, and the new lease agreements took effect in April of 2023, so this recommendation is now implemented. Improving overtime controls in the Police Department from our audit of this police staffing, expenditures, and workload back in 2021. Police Department issued a memo outlining new overtime controls, including captains and division managers, reporting on overtime on a quarterly basis. Department plans to continue to review its overtime policies in consideration of the current staffing levels, as well as develop a plan considering policy changes, clarification of discretionary and mandatory overtime, and other options to address overtime costs. And they are also reporting they will be piloting a new time card system. It's anticipated to better track and automate overtime rules, or track time and automate overtime rules. I do want to note that in fiscal year 22-23, overtime expenditures totaled roughly $58 million. That was up from the $47 million we saw at the time of our audit. The increase has primarily been driven by the high number of sworn vacancies and the need to backfill these positions. Lastly, identifying uses and developing procedures for spending in lieu fees for tree plantings. This is a new priority added. According to the Department of Transportation, or DOT, over $325,000 of fees were spent in the last fiscal year, resulting in 779 tree plantings. Additional funds have been obligated while they continue to identify planting bases, as well as developing criteria for the future use of in lieu fees. The three recommendation priorities in the area of operational efficiency include developing citywide contract management policies, City Manager's Office, or CMO, in coordination with City Attorney's offices, developing a contract processing manual to ensure contracts citywide are properly administered and managed. Guidelines are expected to cover different phases of contract administration, including contract formation, as well as ongoing monitoring. Developing volunteer program guidelines from audit of city's use and coordination of volunteers back in 2016. We call this one implemented, as the administration has assembled and reviewed resources and tools developed by city departments, incorporate them into a volunteer guide, which have been published as an internal resource webpage for city staff who administer programs. Also updating tow service agreements, we're calling this one implemented from our audit in 2018. City issued an RFP for a technology platform and contract administration for tow services in February of this year, and the award of contract came to you all to council on August 15th, and the draft agreement includes provisions to address various items listed in the audit. 3, in the area of improved service delivery, improving monitoring of homeless service providers. Housing Department has developed monitoring policies, procedures, and templates to conduct monitoring visits. They've engaged a consultant to aid monitoring services. They've been granted access to the county's HMIS data system, as well as developing a schedule for ongoing monitoring while agreements. We're calling this one implemented. I do want to note that having procedures in place does not eliminate risk in this area. It just makes it easier to identify and mitigate risk as it comes up. Clarifying massage program roles and responsibilities. Police Department has provided code enforcement a draft of a Memorandum of Understanding, or an MOU, to clarify roles and responsibilities, and code reports they're in the process of reviewing that MOU and to provide comments. Lastly, in this area is procuring a software solution provides sufficient supervisory staff to support wage compliance. So the Office of Quality Assurance and Public Works, they completed an RFP process, develop an online data system to support wage compliance in the final stages of executing a contract. In addition, they've added staff, some contract compliance coordinators, partially from executing minimum wage enforcement agreements, multiple local agencies, as well as through the regular budget process. The last 3 in the area of citywide risk mitigation, citywide security and risk mitigation, revising the city P card policy or procurement card policy. At the time of our most recent audit for P card expenditures in 2019, we found the city was spending roughly $14 million annually through city issued P cards. Finance is working on revising the policy, dividing into 2 parts, a high level administrative policy and a detailed P card administrative guide. Both are currently in draft form, and together they will address multiple open audit recommendations in this area. Citywide administrative guidelines or procedures for managing federal grants. Finance identified 3 permanent positions and 4 limit dated positions to work on grants-related work. However, Finance reported it needed to divert resources to other work priorities, including responding to the Emergency Operations Center activation for the January and March storms and recovery activities related to FEMA-declared disasters. Lastly, fully documenting COVID-related procurements for food distribution contracts. This is another new priority added. According to Finance, the group that will implement the prior recommendation is also tasked with this work, including compiling expenditure documentation, contracts, purchase orders, invoices, what have you, and supporting the city through grantor audits. They also plan to review and maintain documentation around procurement and the emergency cost recovery files, including specific justification for sole source and non-competitive contracts and amendments, and other information required to document compliance with federal requirements. More information about all open audit recommendations is available in the appendices of the report, as well as on our online interactive dashboards we can find on our website. With that, I'd like to thank all the city departments for their efforts to implement audit recommendations and for their assistance in compiling the report. I'd also like to thank my staff for working with the various departments to document and verify the information in the report. Happy to answer any questions and then ask that you accept the report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate the work you and your team in the auditor's office do. Tony, do we have any public comment?
Yes, I have Paul Soto, followed by Blair.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. Thank you again, Joe, for an extensive, comprehensive audit of my city. My concerns are around equity. It's probably one of the lowest, and that doesn't mean that it's the highest in its priority or that it's highest in its meeting its mark. I saw only 6 recommendations for equity. And so I do not believe that this city, whose policy has been racist from its very beginnings, has only 6 issues to meet its equity objectives, that is extremely low, and especially with the transparency. When you compare the amounts of policies that need to be implemented for equity, and then you compare that with the transparency, you can see the disparity is like blinding. And I expect of my elected officials, every single one of you, not just the person from my district, but I expect from every single one of you to start demanding that transparency be a more critical, functional part of government. Now, the fact that in a democracy I have to ask for that is embarrassing, but I'll do it because it's absolutely necessary for our government to function as a democracy. Demokratis is 2 words. That means the power of the people. It is a Greek word, and it means demos, meaning people, kratis, meaning strength, the strength of the people, power of the people, not the government's ability to hide and to lie and to use chicanery and duplicity in order to institute policy. And then people like me have to come and embarrassingly challenge my government on it. So thanks again, Joe.
Blair, followed by call-in user 1.
Hi, Blair Beekman here. Thank you for the words of Paul. I mean, that's all I try to talk about here: openness, accountability, transparency, good practices. Good luck in those efforts. We have ways to make things easier and more accessible. Good luck in those efforts. Yeah, I think a concept was mentioned around telecommunication sites. I'm trying to review the memo and I can't exactly find, you have a lot of towing services, police services, telecommunications. I'm trying to talk with your staff, city government staff within, what was once Civic Innovation around, the future of 5G placement and broadband placement and the purpose of that, and if good practices are being followed. And I've got some fairly good reporting coming in that you're practicing a notification process within the placement of broadband when it wants to be placed in local neighborhoods. You're doing the notification process well. Thank you. There needs to be a ways that it can be accountable and open and clear, and good luck in those efforts to do that. We're really at a time where community needs to ask questions about placement issues. It doesn't have to be an automatic issue. It has to be questioned, I'm sorry to say. And it's learning how to do that. This is part of the process of me asking how city government can learn to ask community at this time what their needs are and what exactly they're considering about issues and technology. That is the purpose of technology future. For it to be a two-way street. And so good luck in those efforts and what this audit report can help work towards. Thank you.
Call-in user 1, followed by Brett.
Yeah, hi, Martha O'Connell. ADA alert. I don't know what microphone that gentleman was using, but I could barely hear him. I tried 3 different phones, so please check that microphone. And also, I'll be sending an email to Tony about getting the system back where we can email you during the meeting and say, we can't hear so-and-so. Thank you very much.
Brett.
Hello, this is Brett Bymaster with Healing Grove Health Center. I want to make public comment on, particularly on the community reuse report from September of 2018. So community center usage is a really big deal in the city of San Jose. The Surgeon General recently released a report that said that lack of social connection is as dangerous as smoking.
We're taking comments on the audit recommendations.
Right, I am on audit number 18-06.
Oh, okay,
number
thank
3.
you. Go ahead.
So the Surgeon General said that loneliness is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And youth centers are really right at the heart of addressing the loneliness, suicidal, mental health problem that we have. The problem is that many of our community centers are deeply underutilized. The Washington Youth Centers particularly good example. Data from 2022 showed that it's in use only 8 hours per week. A 17,000 square foot youth center that's only open to the public 8 hours per week. And a lot of that is because of insufficient monitoring in the PRNS system. That was brought up in a 2010 audit and then brought up again in the 2018 audit. So I think it's particularly important that we focus on 18-06 number 3 that suggests that there should be more careful monitoring of utilization. I want to make a formal request that 18-06 number 12 is reopened. That was marked as completed by Parks and Recs. I do not think that's completed. That recommendation said that there should be established minimum standards and that any underutilized satellite centers should reach out to other providers to bridge gaps. Healing Grove would like to provide 40 hours of programming at the Washington Night Youth Center to bring that up to equity with other youth centers in wealthier neighborhoods. And we have consistently been denied probably a dozen times over the past 2 years by PRNS and Catholic Charities, the operator. And ultimately that comes down to contracting problems that's related to public accountability. So I'd like to see 18-06 number 12 reopen. That had a target completion date of July 2020. And I'd like to see public accountability and monitoring in place and partner with the City Auditor's Office to see that so that we can see our youth centers fully open.
Back to council.
Thank you. Okay. Let's start with Councilmember Foley.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for that presentation. I always appreciate getting the update on what has been implemented since the last 6 months and what still needs to be implemented. I just have a couple of questions, and the first one relates to overtime controls at the police department. You had mentioned that they're working on a plan to reduce overtime. When might that be coming forth to us? And I'm assuming it's going to PISFIS first, or where will it go, and when can we expect an update? Because, I mean, it's obviously a manpower, people power issue, but are there other things that we could be doing, such as reassigning some of the positions that sworn officers are doing and diverting them to community services officers, as an example? So when might we see a plan in more detail about that?
I can start and then turn it over to the police department. So what I was describing was internal reporting. And so I wasn't describing a report back to PISFIS. I don't know if there's something on the PISFIS work plan related to overtime. I do want to note that on our work plan that was accepted by council, the Rules Committee in August, we do have a follow-up, police overtime follow-up report to assess controls around overtime. And that was requested by the administration, seeing that there was a spike this past year. So we'll be taking a look at that. We'll be taking a look at it probably later in the year, but I don't know if the police department has anything to specifically more about any reporting they may have coming to PISFIS or to another matter.
Actually, if I could start, and then the assistant chief can correct me. We do have a internal process, which has not been council directed, that Jennifer's directed, that the police department is doing now. So part of the June budget message was analysis around all the 911 call data. And so we've started that. The other part about the controls around overtime is starting to analyze where overtime is happening in the department in a much more thorough way. So by department, by division, by unit, but also looking for the outliers of why that is occurring. So it's not that we continue just to deliver services over what's budgeted. There's a lot of externalities, such as the courts are still backed up because of COVID. So we have officers that should go to court for an hour or two that are there for 8 hours. Some of the calls for service, we spend much more time at those calls than we had in the past. So we're hoping to come forward to PISFIS, hopefully as a part of the work plan in 2014, that first quarter, with a much more robust analysis around some of that work, so that we really understand the fundamental reasons of what's driving some of that overtime as well.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful. Would Paul Joseph, or would you like to comment, or that's ditto? I'm good with that. And so are you. All right, the point is, there's a plan coming, you're watching it, I realize we are a thinly staffed police department, and there's sideshow activity and a lot of other activity that uses a lot of manpower to make our streets safe. So I really appreciate all of that. I'm just concerned about the budgetary impact, particularly as we go forward, and finding a solution, because we've been talking about overtime for as long as I've been on council, which is only 5 years, but still.
Yes, it's been given as a priority to myself and the chief and assistant chief, so we're very much focused on it as well.
Got it. Thank you very much. And Joe, I always ask you this question. What keeps you up at night in relation to this report that we haven't accomplished yet, or that hasn't been implemented yet?
The top 12 that we kind of identified as a priority, those are the ones that do catch my attention. So obviously the overtime is within that. One thing that I don't want to say flies under the radar, but some of just the basics that we have in whether it's in those 12 or more broadly, procedures for contract management, documenting the expenditures from, getting all those required documentation for the COVID contracts. Some of the, like I said, those basics that are always number 2 or number 3 on someone's priority list. And so just kind of keeping that stuff on people's radar, because as you all know, we have turnover in the organization, we've got vacancies, and to the extent that we can standardize work and make it easy for people to step into a role and not have to start from scratch is really important. And so as I said, some of those basic procedures, training sort of things, they're kind of sprinkled throughout the report, but there's a few of them in the 12 that I mentioned.
Great, I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate your report and your analysis on what the risk is, both from a liability standpoint and from a financial standpoint, that will affect the running of the city of San Jose. So this report is really important, that we continue to keep our eye on the ball, and the way we do that is through looking at your, following up on your audit. So thank you very much. With that, I move to accept the report.
Great, thank you. Second, Councilmember Batra. Councilmember Jimenez?
Yeah, thank you for the report. Just a quick question. So on page 8 of the audit, it talks about $20.8 million in potential monetary benefits from 15 open recommendations. And the question I have, I guess, is tied to the fact that I know that you all do follow up with different departments once audits are prepared, once recommendations are made. And do you do any type of special follow-up as it relates to items that have monetary value that can potentially sort of come from resolving?
Let me put it this way. So some of these pop up as some of the priority recommendations because of the dollar value. Other ones, we follow up through our normal process, and it kind of depends on, every recommendation is slightly different. So if there's a reason for us to push a little harder or maybe do some additional analysis, we may do that. For example, if we want to update some information about what the cost of something is, we might have done an audit a few years back. We might want to take a look back at, what are the current spending in X, Y, Z or something like that. But it kind of goes, it's kind of dependent on the individual recommendation and where it's sitting. If we know that there's a large body of work around it, one of the ones in there relates to the renegotiation of the agreement with the Valley Water. Mm-hmm. That's one piece of a much larger puzzle, so we're not, we're just kind of monitoring that one. Whereas something like the overtime, we're watching a little bit more closely, and we'll run those records, or we'll run those reports every 6 months to find out what's going on. So it kind of varies depending on the recommendation, if that makes sense. Okay,
yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, where I was coming from as it relates to that question is just simply that I'd like, obviously we talk about consistently, the budgetary challenges we think we're going to have over the next few years, and so whenever I see potential $20.8 billion in potential monetary benefits for 15 open audit recommendations, I'm glad to hear that you put a little special emphasis to the extent possible on those that can provide some benefit. So
Yeah.
thank you for the answer. Appreciate it.
Great, thanks, Councilmember. Councilmember Batra?
Joe, given you compliments before that you have produced many good audit reports and your staff, and those have been all, most of your recommendations have been all agreed, and that's a sizable comment there as well. I do have one question on that. Who determines that this recommendation has actually been implemented, completed? Is it the department? Is it you and the department? How is that determined?
The ultimate decider is me. And we work with departments, and so during the process, I'll just kind of describe the process. We'll ask for an update on any recommendations, and if there's movement, if there have developed some procedures, we gather that documentation for our files. So for anything that we call implemented, we gather sufficient documentation for us to make that determination on our own. And I said me, but it's really my staff and working together. So, you know, the departments, we've been working with them for many years, so they kind of know what we're looking for. And so we don't call anything implemented until we have documentation to support that.
Okay, because some of these things take time to implement, so you go back to them and check that your people who were involved in doing the recommendation, they actually have delivered that, or as you described before, it doesn't have to be exactly the same tactic way of doing it, but the problem needs to have been addressed, right?
Correct.
Correct. And so you very validate that. Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Councilmember. Vice Mayor Kameh?
Thank you. I want to thank you and your team for your good work. I know that it's hard, it's long, and there's a lot of information that comes towards us. I just wanted to get a better understanding of some of the information that's here in the report, and the example that a caller mentioned in terms of the 18-06. I was wondering, when you're looking at the narrative and it talks about departments that have implemented or closed, and there were 40 recommendations, I did notice that it mentioned a part of what was later on in a more in your tables as to there were kind of multiple things. If you look at your graph shows that the majority has been implemented, but there's a little bit left that's partially implemented. So I'm assuming that when you say that it is implemented, it is for the portion that has been completed, as opposed to the little bit that has not yet been completed. Is that correct?
That is correct. So specifically the reuse audit. So that audit had 19 separate recommendations. It looks like about 16 of them have been implemented, and a few of them are in process, and they've done enough for us to call it partly implemented, but there's still work to be done.
Great, great. So that when I'm reading the chart and there's more information in terms of exactly what it was that still needs to be sort of wrapped up. So it isn't completely closed, that there is sort of the follow-up that will occur for that little piece that's still.
Yeah, so like I said, those 3 remaining recommendations. And
right, and that would be the same thing for any of the items here before us, correct?
Correct. So,
excellent.
So in any audit, the implementation of the recommendations, the 5, the 10, the 15, the 20 recommendations, they don't all happen at one time. They kind of happen over time, and so then we just the departments knock them off as they're able to. Okay. And so this only has the open recommendations, or a portion of the recommendations we've made. If you want to see, like, for example, that audit, if you want, you can go onto our dashboard, you can see one of the dashboards shows the results of all those, even the ones that may not be in this report.
Yeah, and your dashboard is great, so thank you so much.
That's
okay.
all Brittany.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Vice Mayor. I don't see any other hands. I did have one question. Joe, one of your, and I think the question's probably for Assistant Chief Joseph in our police department. One of your open recommendations that has a potential monetary benefit talks about assessing how we use community service officers and how they're deployed, and I think that's a promising area. I thought that one of the more important actions this council took during the budget process was making a commitment to expanding foot patrols in downtown and other commercial districts that we want to make open and accessible and safe and appealing to all of our residents, and of course disproportionately contribute the tax base that benefits all neighborhoods, all residents with vital city services. So I was hoping we could get, and maybe this would be for the assistant chief or others in the department, just a quick update, as much as you have on hand, about how we are in terms of our next academy. I know we've had real challenges. We've also made investments around recruitment in general. We've had challenges with declining applications. I know that's been a trend. Are we seeing that for CSOs? I'd love to hear kind of when the next academy is, how we're doing in terms of getting applications, and kind of what the outlook is for that CSO program over the next year or so.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So we are currently recruiting for the 6 additional CSO positions to be deployed downtown. I believe that recruitment either just closed or will be closing shortly. We haven't had the same challenges in recruiting CSOs, unfortunately, as we have had recruiting police officers, and you're very familiar with those. We're constantly working to find every avenue we can to find qualified folks who want to be police officers, but in the meantime, we will use CSOs where appropriate and where the contract language allows us to do so.
Okay, great. And when, just out of curiosity, do you know roughly when the next academy is for our CSOs?
I don't know off the top of my head. Like I said, I believe the job announcement for those 6 additional CSOs, the job posting either just closed or is about to close.
Okay, and sorry, I didn't get a chance to give you a heads up that I was curious, but we can talk more offline about the CSO program. Great, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands. Did we have a motion? I apologize if that was Councilmember Foley. Okay, great, that's right. Okay, I believe we're ready to vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Excellent, okay, we are on to item 3.4, Integrated Waste Management Enforcement Program Audit Report. Joe is staying in the box. And Joe, are you kicking off with a presentation?
I am. I'm waiting for a few folks to join me.
Got some colleagues coming down? Excellent.
I didn't have as far to go. So good afternoon, Joe Roy, City Auditor. I'm here with Allison Pauley, Michael O'Connell, and Maria Valle from my office to present to you our Audit Integrated Waste Management Enforcement Program, clarifying goals and performance expectations would improve enforcement coverage. Also in the box are Valerie Osmond and Carrie Romanow from the Environmental Services Department. The objective of this audit was to evaluate the Integrated Waste Management, or IWM's enforcement team's service delivery. This team is charged with enforcing solid waste regulations in the Muni Code, as well as conducting education and outreach around state and local solid waste regulations. The audit was requested by the administration. The IWM enforcement team enforces Muni Code and Municipal Code and contractual requirements to resolve solid waste management issues. Typical cases include dangerous accumulation, improper set out of containers, illegal hauling, and other issues. In 2022, the team handled about 840 cases overall. The largest single category of cases was related to dangerous accumulation, an example of which is included in the slide. As described in Finding 1, they also conduct outreach and education of businesses and residents around solid waste regulations. As part of their process, the team conducts inspections of businesses or residents, primarily based on complaints they receive from the public, the city's garbage and recycling haulers, or other city staff. They conduct initial inspections of properties, and if they see a problem, will issue a warning notice to the business or property owner. They will then conduct a follow-up inspection, and if the issue has not been resolved, they can issue administrative citation. In 2022, the team issued 429 warning notices and 41 administrative citations based on the 840 cases they investigated. The team has 5 positions overall, 4 inspectors and a supervisor. First finding that we had was that ESD should clarify the mission and workload expectations of the IWM enforcement team. In recent years, the responsibilities of the team has changed. This has contributed to a lower workload and a need to clarify the expectations for inspectors' activities. A decline in public complaints coming to the team has contributed to a lower workload, and work in other areas has declined, including shifting enforcement of illegal dumping or enforcement of illegal dumping to planning, building, code enforcement. I want to note that the work of cleaning up was shifted over to Beautify SJ and PRNS. In the first half of 2023, at the same time, new responsibilities such as outreach or enforcement related to new legislation or existing ordinances have been added to the team's responsibilities. I want to note that in the first half of 2023, each inspector was conducting about 2.3 inspections per day on average. Though this is an improvement from 2022 or 2021, it's still below expectations. Current procedures state inspectors should complete 3 per day, and management has stated that the goal they're working towards is 4 per day. In this finding, we have 3 recommendations to help focus and prioritize the work of the team, including clarifying the mission and goals and create success metrics for the team, set performance expectations for inspectors, and monitor performance, and updating procedures to clarify expectations for inspector activities around illegal dumping or no service collection. Second finding was that proactive cases should focus on expanding coverage citywide. Although the enforcement team's workload is primarily complaint-driven, the team has a proactive program that encourages staff to identify and respond to dangerous accumulation or other solid waste violations they observe in the field. We found the enforcement team's approach for proactive cases could better augment the current complaint-driven system to expand coverage of solid waste enforcement citywide. Currently, IWM inspectors may only initiate proactive work if they observe a solid waste violation while out in the field for another reason, and as a result, proactive cases largely follow the same geographic trends as solid waste complaints. This results in a risk of underreported issues in some parts of the city. In our analysis, we noted that higher priority solid waste violations appeared to be related to multifamily or commercial properties. However, in some parts of the city with high density of such properties, saw few proactive cases. Updated procedures around the team's proactive work would enable the team to better reach communities, particularly those that may have underreported violations, and tailor outreach materials appropriately. We had 1 recommendation to update procedures around proactive inspections and outreach. Last finding was that streamlining administrative tasks would give inspectors more time in the field. Administrative tasks related to cases such as data entry and identifying responsibilities can be made more efficient to free up inspectors' time for additional inspections, outreach, or other activities. We found the software platform the team has used is outdated and is not designed for their needs, making data entry complicated, time-consuming. As well, clarifying expectations for inspectors' work in some other areas would also maximize time spent in the field, and we have 2 recommendations around these areas. Overall, the report has 7 recommendations to improve the city's integrated waste management enforcement program service delivery. I'd like to thank the Environmental Service Department, or ESD, along with City Attorney's Office, City Manager's Budget Office, and staff from PBCE and PRNS. With that, I ask you to accept the report, and I'm going to turn it over to Carrie or Valerie for the administration response. We're happy to answer any questions.
Good afternoon, Carrie Romanow, Director of Environmental Services, and we want to thank the Auditor's Office for taking the time to share some new best practices with us. We certainly learned a great deal during this process, and as you'll see from the administrative response, our intent is to complete all but 1 by June 24. And so again, thank you, and we look forward to improving our efficiency and effectiveness.
Thank you so much. I don't see any hands right now, but we'll go to public comment.
Jordan, followed by Julie.
I support recommendations 1, 2, and 5. However, the report doesn't mention illegal bike lane setouts or trash collisions and downplays set-out issues. If council accepts the report as is, I'm concerned IWM will interpret that as official guidance to downplay bike lane trash issues. A man was killed in May while using a San Jose bike lane when his scooter struck an improperly placed brush pile and he was ejected. This was a preventable tragedy, but sadly represents the status quo. We need immediate change before more lives are lost. Bike lanes are blocked daily by brush, bins, and dumpsters. Also, collection trucks return containers into bike lanes in violation of state and city law. You might not appreciate why this is a problem. Brush and bins are often dark and short, and at night might be invisible. If cyclists leave the bike lane, they are at risk of car collisions. Many seem ignorant or indifferent to bike lane safety. This requires renewed education and enforcement within staff and across the population. See my written public comments for picture evidence and concrete ideas to implement. Vision Zero requires structural changes ASAP at every opportunity within all aspects of the public right-of-way. Today's reimagining of waste management responsibilities is an opportunity to make improvements, and residents cannot afford to wait for later opportunity. I urge Council today to save lives and meet your Vision Zero commitments. Please issue the strongest possible guidance to waste management that Recs 1, 2, and 5 should cover illegal bike lane setouts. And I urge Waste Management to go beyond by researching, prioritizing, and addressing the bike lane waste issues. I hope for them to report back to Council about this far sooner than June. Note that there are so many daily violations, cyclists cannot possibly report them all. It would be futile. Violations are likely orders larger than the report indicates. I urge the city to take decisive action to prevent avoidable deaths. Thank you.
Julie, followed by Paul.
Hello, my name is Julie Meyerson, and I would like to second Jordan's concerns. I am an avid cyclist, and I actually teach I am an LCI, so League Certified Instructor, so I literally teach up-and-coming cyclists how to most safely navigate the streets, and it breaks my heart every time that I have to tell them, hey, the safest thing right now is to get out of the bike lane, because I know the city of San Jose has invested a lot of money and effort and with their Vision Zero programs to try to make these bike lanes, and we do appreciate them, but bike lanes are only as good as they are safe. And it is safer for us in many instances right now to take a lane, to get into the traffic lane where there are cars, than to risk running over brush or twig or other waste that people have deposited into the bike lane. And they do this because they don't know any better and because there aren't any other real options for them, or at least they don't think that there are. In other cities, such as San José and Santa Clara, residents are given bins that are appropriate with waste that they are able to do. I would like to see San Jose at least consider ideas such as this, especially in their 1, 2, and 5 recommendations, and make sure that they consider cyclists moving forward. Thank you.
May I have your attention? Paul, followed by caller 7788.
Yes, Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. On point, Jordan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was an excellent, concise presentation on tying in traffic safety with waste management. I too am a bike rider. I've never owned a car. I've ridden bike for at least 40 years in the city. And when I'm going down, I at least 25, 30 miles an hour, easy. And when I'm going at night, that has happened to me before, is the trash cans are placed into the bike lanes. And then what happens is that if I'm going at a high rate of speed and I make a swerve to move out of the way, I'm moving into a traffic lane. If the timing is just right and a car is coming full speed behind me, when I make that move to move out of the way, boom. You know, so I hope the chair of Vision Zero is listening to this, because I want to see it on the next agenda. I want to see it on, especially considering that 2 citizens have died within the past couple of days. And I'm sick and tired of grants being written based on those numbers. You see, the more people that die, the more people that the more Vision Zero gets funded. And all that happens is you buy a bunch of technology. Now, waste management, also with those piles, Jordan also gave another excellent example on how it's placed within those bike lanes and it poses a danger. It's already shown itself to do so. A man lost his life off of something as simple as that. Now, we need policies, not just rhetoric, but we need actually policies that are instituted that actually address these specific issues, not what you want to do, but what it is that needs to be done. And so those are my comments. And once again, thank you, Jordan. That was excellent, brother.
Caller 7788.
Hello, my name is Martin Delson, and my issue is also garbage cans in the bike lanes. The city's put a lot of effort into building bike lanes, but very little effort into keeping them actually usable. They're full of obstacles. They're frequently blocked. Every time I take a ride and I do all my errands by bicycle, I would say every single time there's some obstacle or other in the bike lane. Usually many of them, and the biggest source of them by far are garbage bins and piles of garbage that are in the lanes. The report that the auditor looked at has no mention at all of this issue, which to me is critical. So I'd like to request that the council not accept the auditor's report as it currently stands, and instead ask that it be modified to address this issue, and come up with some recommendations for mitigating the problem, and also please do this in consultation with bike experts, perhaps the San Jose, the Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. So thank you very much for listening to my comments.
Back to council.
Thank you. Well, my colleagues, see if they have think about any questions they may have. Thought I would go ahead and just ask about the bike lane safety. In addition to the public comment, I get frequently tagged on Twitter with photos of whether it's garbage cans or garbage trucks in bike lanes. I'm just curious, maybe a little out of scope here, but who is responsible for monitoring and holding people accountable?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start, and then Valerie can add in sort of the specific on bike lanes, and then if John Risto has anything to add, I think that would be helpful for me. We do advise residents to put their containers and yard waste out into the area in front of their home, and if that includes a bike lane, that is an acceptable use of the public roadway. I know it's not to say I think that's our best answer. It's just to say that is allowable, and it has been something that we've been doing for decades. So with that in mind, it's not something our inspectors would enforce on because it's not a violation of code or our city process. Having said that, certainly room for improvement, and I think it's going to take us a bit to strategize how to make the best use of our public infrastructure to ensure that bicyclists, pedestrians, and motor vehicles are all safe. But people do need a place to put their trash cans where the garbage and recycling trucks can access it. And so, Valerie, if there's any particular regulatory requirements, and then if someone from DOT has something.
I'd just like to add that the enforcement team does enforce on set-outs of carts in the event that they are set out improperly, too early, or left out too late, so outside of the typical set-out time. Aside from that, there's no enforcement during appropriate set-out times, and then it is complaint-based, so we do need to receive those complaints from the community in order to respond to them.
Great. I don't see anything else. It doesn't sound like John wants to add anything else to it. I'll just offer my 2 cents that I do think it's worth some additional thought, particularly on our busier roads, having lived along Santa Teresa Boulevard for many years. I understand we have to balance many different needs and don't want to make it overly onerous for folks to put out their trash, or green waste is a great example. And yet, as we're all working very hard to reduce traffic accidents, and we've had a couple very tragic accidents just this week, we're going to all have to do our part and think about where we can promote behavior change, and I think that might be a candidate. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Councilor Torres?
Yeah, good afternoon. So thank you so much for that presentation. I'm also concerned, just like the mayor, regarding the blocking of the bike lanes. That is a major concern for our downtown residents who bike in and out of downtown either to live or they're coming in from work. And so I know you just heard from Jordan, and Jordan is a cyclist activist in our huge cycling community. And so for me, it is concerning. And by the way, I know that the mayor just mentioned Twitter and Instagram. There's actually an Instagram page dedicated to the blocking of lanes in downtown San Jose. And because of the analytics, it always pops up in my feed, so I see it mostly every day, right? And through our office, I try to have my staff reach out to parking compliance or to report it, especially if I see that it was 15 or 20 or an hour ago and or whatnot, because it is important. And we made bike lanes for everyone, right? So it's just not for the office worker, for the downtown resident. We have hundreds of folks on bikes who are leaving from closing up their business, right? We have a large working class community here, and so they, after the restaurants and the retail shops close down in downtown San Jose, a lot of the folks bike away, right, in the dark. And so for me, it is really concerning, and I think we need to really explore on how to continue to make our bike lanes really safe. So that's all I have. I'm gonna hear from my other colleagues regarding this issue, but Valerie, thank you so much. I know that my team has been working with you on the many concerns that our bicyclists have. And so hopefully, I'm gonna hear conversation from my colleagues before I decide on how to vote for on this audit, because it is a particular concern from my downtown residents. And so, but thank you so much for getting all those concerns and hopefully working with my downtown residents offline. So thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo the sentiments about the bike lanes. I regularly see, especially yard waste in bike lanes, but the large dumpsters are really, honestly, I think the biggest safety issue. And I don't think saying we can't enforce that is the right answer. So I would really like staff to come back to us with options for how we can do that. So I think that's in line with what is agendized, and so I'd like to accept the audit, but have a recommendation for staff to come back to us with what our options are for enforcing keeping the bike lanes clear with the integrated waste management enforcement team being at the lead of that.
Thank you, Councilmember. Great. Councilor Torres seconds. I appreciate that and think it's certainly worth more analysis and study. Carrie, did you want to chime in? Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm still a little bit confused. I'm wondering if we might instead be able to figure out a process where residents have a different place to put their trash cans, because I mean we can do increased enforcement, but only outside of the normal set out times, which isn't what I heard from any of the council members or the public. They're kind of saying we don't want them in the bike lanes at all, but the current structure of our system, that is the only place to put the cans. And so I think as we look to redesign the residential and commercial garbage systems, certainly that gives us the opportunity to create a new system where they're not in the bike lanes, but the in-between 8 to 10 years, I don't know that we can enforce until we have a different solution.
Well, as I said in my motion, I would like you to go back to your team and do some thinking and come back to us with options, because 8 to 10 years is way too long.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I agree. I think we need to have a conversation, and maybe this, did you refer it back to the full council, or was it NSE to start? I don't know if you specified.
I didn't make a recommendation. I think it would have to come to T&E.
Or T&E, sorry, yeah.
So
whatever.
it can come back to T&E first, and then
Sure.
it would be referred to the full council.
Yeah. I mean, Carrie, I'll give an example of where I think these policies obviously have to balance different interests, as I mentioned, and we have different stakeholders and different needs, and it may not be possible everywhere. Different parts of our city have different density levels, different levels of bike traffic. I can tell you, I lived in a neighborhood for 5 years next to Santa Teresa Boulevard with people driving 45, 50 miles an hour, and had a neighbor who put green waste in the bike lane every week when there was space right in front of his home without a car there. I mean, there are commons now. Obviously, laying out the rules, enforcing them is the kind of complexity that's going to require the thought and coming back to a committee and further discussion. But we've got to reduce the amount of obstructions in bike lanes, particularly along roads where people are driving 40 and 50 miles an hour, if we want people to use bikes to get around. We just have to do better as a city. So I don't think we're assuming that we know the answer. I think we're all acknowledging that there's a lot of complexity, but I think we've got to give this more thought because the outcomes we're getting today just are not sufficient. Vice Mayor, did you want to chime in?
Just to follow up on your comment, I think that even if you were to identify certain areas that are problematic or areas where you're seeing an increase, sort of issue, you may want to think about how do we solve that, because I think that at the end of the day, we have these no parking signs when we have street sweeping, right? So, every Wednesday it's going to happen, right? So I think trying to find a location, a space where you can put your green waste or whatever might be a way that you can just identify an area, try it, and see if it would create any better results. Because I do believe that, having it in the bike lane, it's just a matter of a little bit of education to some of the residents to be able to try to do it in a way that's not going to interfere with something else.
Thank you. I think it's also working with DOT on how we install bike lanes with garbage carts in mind. And then, right, so it's looking at all sides of it. And Mayor, thank you as well for the, doesn't have to be 100% everywhere on day one. But I think we can come up with some good pilots and things that make sense for the biking community and for our garbage haulers.
Great. Sounds good to me. Excellent. Okay, Councilmember Cohen.
Yeah, it just occurs to me as I'm trying to think through this topic. We have our inspectors, and maybe we should spend a little time. The next step is to spend a little time just doing a survey of where are the most heavily traveled bike lanes and where are cans regularly in the bike lane, so we have some information. It maybe not with an answer as to how we solve that problem, but data that says, well, these are the major bike lanes. Maybe these are the ones where we want to try to come up with alternative plans because they're the most heavily used bike lanes, and then figure out maybe those auditors can go around. And, the folks doing that, those, the people doing this, the patrols and looking, can actually maybe take some data. These on garbage day, these are the bike lanes that have garbage cans in them, so that we can at least understand where we might have to figure out some alternatives and come up with a new idea of how to do it.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, I believe we're ready to vote on the motion from Councilmember Davis.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great. Thank you to staff. We are on to item 3.5, approval of citywide insurance renewals. And there's no staff presentation, so we will go to public comment first.
I have no hands.
Okay. Back to the council. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Great. Let's vote.
And that was Davis and Kimei.
Correct.
I'm still waiting on one person. There we go. Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Okay, item 8.1, this is the fiscal year 22-23 Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, and we have a staff presentation.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, members of the public. Rosalind Huey, Deputy City Manager and Acting Housing Director. This afternoon, I have with me Kristen Clemens, our Interim Deputy Director in the Housing Department, and Stephanie Dukowski, who actually, this is her very first time presenting to the City Council, so we are super excited about that. She did a terrific job presenting this item at the Housing and Community Development Commission, so we're very excited to have Stephanie join us this afternoon. Before we get started into the presentation, so we're glad to present the fiscal year 22-23 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. And this is something we bring to the City Council each year that talks about expenditures and programs that we have accomplished during the past years with a specific set of funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. So I just want to share before we get into the presentation that our approach to homelessness here in the city is a comprehensive one. We actually have an ecosystem of homelessness services and outreach. We have the community plan to end homelessness. We have the continuum of care performance outcomes. And obviously, there are multiple partners within the city and throughout the county who are helping us in addressing the issue. And so I just wanted to point out that the CAPER report that we're presenting to you today is actually just one segment of all of the city's investments and commitment and funding to the issue of homelessness. So just wanted to provide that context. And with that, I will hand the presentation over to Kristen.
Thanks, Rosalind. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. I wanted to remind you where we are in the annual cycle of the reporting that we do to HUD and the plans that we create. So this image shows you the cycles that we go through each year for planning for HUD funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. All these items are required to be done as the city is an entitlement jurisdiction that gets its funds via formula. In the center is the 5-year consolidated plan. We are currently in the 2020 to 2025 consolidated plan period. Council approved this in August 2020, and we've actually already started work on the next cycle, which will go 2025 to 2030. The 5-year plan includes a deep analysis of housing needs and impediments to fair housing in our community, as HUD requires. And it defines 5-year goals of what we should be spending our funds from HUD on to address the needs. And then there are 5 individual annual action plans that hook to the 5-year plan. Each of those have annual goals. And at 9 o'clock on the circle each year, we consult the community and the Housing and Community Development Commission on our proposed spending priorities. At noon, we create the draft annual action plans. We bring that to Commission and Council for the following fiscal year's expenditures. And at 3 o'clock, we enter into contracts and try to get those done as fast as we can, given the approved plan and the city's budget cycle. And then at each fall, which is where we are now at the 6 p.m. position, we report back on outcomes from the previous fiscal year's annual action plan. As a reminder, these are the 4 priorities that the 5-year plan identified, and so the report is divided up into results per these 4 priorities. And then you can see the next slide lays out how much we get each year. We get about $14.4 million by formula from HUD, And we were down very, very slightly over the prior year's allocation, just about $66,000 less. And again, this is what we program every year, but also we program rollover funds. So for instance, for capital dollars, those are often multi-year projects. And so some commitments start in one fiscal and go over into the next 1 or 2 fiscal years. So you can see why the expenditures of actually what was spent does exceed the annual allocation because of those rollovers. So next, I will hand it over to Stephanie, who can go through some of the outcomes in this year's report.
So one of the first priorities is the increase in preserve affordable housing. And this year, and for 22-23, we used the HOPWA funds to do TBRA. HOPWA is our housing opportunity with people living with AIDS. So any of the home TBRA that we had in prior years, we kept all the home funds, and we're going to be using them designated for a new development commitment through an upcoming NOFA, which I believe is happening in October. Yeah. Okay, thanks. So this priority is to respond to homelessness and its impact on the community, and just a couple of highlights. We service 1,153 individuals receiving temporary housing, case management, and supportive services. 1,017 individuals received street-based outreach services, and 520 individuals assisted in emergency motel program. Thanks. This priority is our strengthen and stabilize communities, and these are our public service programs. Just to highlight, 3,714 social visits with the wellness checks for low-income seniors, 250 legal consultations for low-income people, 43 legal representations for eviction proceedings, 27,003 meals delivered to low-income seniors, and 565 door-to-door transportation services for low-income residents, plus 393 translation services for participants. These programs were primarily serviced by the Health Trust, Meals on Wheels, POSO, Somos Mayfair, and also in the legal would be the Law Foundation. So also another priority in the strengthen and stabilize communities. Back in December, PRNS approached housing and wanted to have a method to ease transition out of emergency food services, and we were able to partner with them to utilize CDBG-CV, which is the CARES funding, the COVID funding for CDBG. So we were partnering then with 8 agencies to distribute food, and this was a specific time period of January through June of this year. Just to give a highlight, 26 million pounds of food was distributed to low-income residents through Second Harvest, and 6,000 households received 31,200 prepackaged groceries from Catholic Charities. So the city was pretty successful in transitioning away from emergency food distribution. Again, in the strengthen and stabilize communities, we had a couple of construction projects. We completed the final community Wi-Fi project. This specifically was for the Mount Pleasant and Silver Creek High School area. And then we have an ongoing construction project at the Fair Swim Center, and then we're doing rehab at the swim center, but we're also doing a total rehab of the tot lot there. And that tot lot construction should be going through until about 2026. Again, with the strengthen and stabilize communities, this kind of gives you our non-construction, which is our minor repair and our code enforcement. So our minor repair program assisted 174 households, and our enhanced code enforcement, there were 427 inspections completed. The priority for promoting fair housing choices, we have a consortium that's led by Lao Foundation. There's Project Sentinel, SALA, which is the Senior Adult Legal Assistance, and the Asian Law Alliance, and so there's the umbrella of fair housing. They were able to provide 37 fair housing representations, 33 fair housing investigations, and finally presented 21 education and outreach presentations. So for us, our next step is we will be submitting this report to HUD at the end of this week, and then we'll be coming back to council, the commission and council, with our 24-25 annual action plan.
And with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks so much. Well done, Stephanie. All right, let's go to public comment.
I have no hands up. Oh, Paul. Paul?
Yes, thank you for catching that, Tony. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. With respect to comments that were made by the Vice Mayor last week with regarding to housing performance and how they lack a concise, targeted policy for ELI and VLI, and that's troubling to me, because once again, let me give you the statistic again in case you forgot. From 2016 until this last quarter, 95 to 115% of market rate housing goals have been met. In the same exact time period, less than 25% of ELI, VLI, and everything else goals have been met. Now, those kinds of metrics cannot be accomplished unless it was by design. Now, I want to make myself very clear on that, because I don't want to hear any more rhetoric from the housing department. I don't want to hear any more rhetoric from the current head of housing, because that's all it is. It's a bunch of hot air, and it has no real merit to it, especially when considering that stark statistic. So what I want to know is what they're going to do about that, because everything else really doesn't matter. I don't care about these reports, because they're just a bunch of words that convolute what the real issue is. And the real issue is that. And there's a reason why it was from 2016, is because that was the date when the non-disclosure agreement was signed with Google. That was the date when that was signed. So from there, you have a very clear metric that states that what they want is a certain class of people living here, and it's
Back to council.
Thank you. Sorry, let me just pull up my list of hands again. Councilmember Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank staff, Rosalind, Kristen, and Stephanie. Thank you so much for your presentation and hard work. I really appreciated the report. I think most of my comments are in regards to the Home First portion and the data that relates to that. So I understand the report states citywide outreach for unsheltered populations from the Home First program served 706 participants. And of the total participants served, 520 individuals exited the program. And of the total participants, again, only 8% were successfully housed. In the supplemental memo, we see it's essentially explained due to staff being dispatched to different locations on a daily basis, and inclement weather prevented more thorough outreach. Is there discussions on how we are going to work to improve these statistics? Because, to be honest, they're not looking really good for us right now.
Thank you, Council Member. Yeah, there's a lot of data in here, and some of it could use further delving into. That is one statistic that was noted at the Housing Commission, and I think the explanation for that is fairly complicated. So I'd like to recognize our colleague, Kelly Hemphill, to come down. Kelly is the program manager for our homelessness response. And our grants team, together with Homelessness Response, work extremely closely with all of the grantees that we fund as to what scope of work that they are doing and how they are doing it, and together set goals for those outcomes that are consistent with other goals in the county. as established by the Community Plan to End Homelessness. So we wanted to ask Kelly if she could give us more information on the Home First outreach work. Thanks, Kelly.
This is my first time using these new microphones.
Oh, nice.
All right. I suspect, hi, I'm Kelly Hemphill. I'm the Homelessness Response Division Manager. I suspect that y'all have a lot of questions about outreach, so perhaps I should just go into a little bit about.
As long as it doesn't impact my 10 minutes, I only get 10
Oh,
minutes.
no. Good point. Okay, I'll
want to
focus on
reclaim
home.
my time.
I'll focus on Home First. Okay, so the foundation of homeless outreach is really all about consistent engagement to build trust, rapport, and relationships. We have 5 different outreach programs, and I think you're discussing the Home First Citywide Outreach Program, which is all about reactiveness. All of our other programs, or each program is very unique, but this one is reactive outreach, which responds to complaints. It responds to community concerns, and it's often enforcement driven, which results to minimal engagement. So last fiscal year, there were about 5,100 calls into our homeless concerns hotline, and the 5-person outreach team with the citywide outreach program responded to all of those. And this includes calls from neighbors, council offices, the mayor's office, Beautify SJ, DOT, Caltrans, and these are all calls to go out and figure out the situation, assess the situation, go and talk to the homeless person. So this program in particular consistently underperforms, as it does not allow for outreach teams to develop meaningful rapport, and there's still a huge need for this type of, we still recognize that there's a huge need for this type of deployment. I intentionally didn't call it outreach because it's not engagement-based, it's enforcement-based. And so I did want to say that we recognize this, and we're not trying to make excuses, but we did take this last year, my team took this last year to assess outreach and really redesign how we want to provide outreach and use our professional service organizations who know how to speak to and work with people experiencing homelessness. So we did release an RFP on September 13th, which is all proactive outreach based. And we will be working with, we'll be hiring some city employees to address the reactive deployments beginning next fiscal year.
Thank you. I appreciate that context. So essentially, even though this says citywide outreach for unsheltered populations, it's not really citywide. So is there a way that we could be being intentional, more intentional with our language that we're using as well as the data that we're presenting? Because it's our job to look at this data and then ask questions on it. So it just feels like the information wasn't presented to us in the best way.
It is definitely citywide. It's people are being deployed. Our 5-person team is being deployed throughout the entire city, and so.
But it's not outreach. You yourself said it wasn't outreach.
But they're out. This is Home First, which are outreach providers, and we recognize that they're not really providing outreach, which is engagement. They are more of an enforcement, which is why we're redesigning our whole entire strategy.
Is there like a place where we could see one place to go for data on these topics? Is there?
My homelessness annual report is where we get all of our performance outcomes.
All right, well then I will cede the rest of my questions until we have that meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember. And I do just want to pick up on the council members' questions for a moment. So I think you made an important point, Kelly. This is one of many different outreach programs. So the 1.4 million of the HUD dollars that are covered in this report, what percentage of our overall outreach effort does that comprise? I mean, just roughly.
Thank you, Mayor. I can cover that question, and thank you to your staff for conveying your interest in this area. We did a quick poll of expenditures last fiscal year on all homeless programs and all sources, And the amount of money covered by the HUD funds in this report is about 5% of the total homelessness response budget. And that is just for housing. That does not include PRNS's budgets or other items.
Okay, 5%. So the 1.4 million, you would roughly multiply by 20 to get the overall outreach budget within the housing department? You just said it's about 5%?
All sources, it was about 5% of total expenditures, including permanent supportive housing developments, by the way. And, you know, of the dollars spent, a little bit over a quarter this year were through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
A quarter or 5%? I guess what I'm trying to understand is...
No, a quarter of the funds spent on outreach was in this report.
Oh,
and then there were
okay.
other
So the
sources as
1.4
well.
million is about a quarter of the dollars we spend on outreach to the homeless. Is that what you're saying?
In this report, what we called outreach and aggregated together was citywide outreach, looking at Table B, targeted outreach, and then services outreach, assistance, and resources. So of those funds together, that was about, yeah, it's 1.5 and change, 1.6 listed here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then a total of about 5.7 and change total across all sources.
Okay. So just to clarify, make sure I've got this. We've got the HUD report here on the 24 million we're spending in HUD dollars. Of that, 1.5 million roughly is being spent on outreach to folks who are experiencing homelessness. That is about 1/4 of all the dollars we spend on outreach across city functions to those outreach, with the caveat that Councilmember Ortiz just identified, but right, it's about a quarter, so we spend about 4 times. So we're spending something on the order of $5 million, $6 million on outreach. I think you...
That's right.
Okay, that's helpful. I just wanted to start there. And then I think this reactive versus proactive enforcement versus engagement model, I think is very relevant. I think to Councilmember Ortiz's point, I think it would be helpful for us to have that. I know sometimes we get these reports because they're mandated by the federal government, state government. I think having a supplemental, if you will, having some cheat sheet, some additional context, maybe that mostly should be in the presentation, but I think the audience here, our job is beyond whatever the reporting requirement might be from HUD. HUD's technical language, it's complicated, and in this case, we're talking about outreach for 25% of our outreach dollars. I think what we care about is, how's our outreach going? Overall, how is it going? What are the categories? How effective is it? My understanding from the data we were able to dig into from our team was that across the board, our outreach programs aren't hitting that county benchmark we have, which is that 38% of people who are engaged through street outreach will be successfully housed. Our assumption is the primary reason for that is that we don't have anywhere to refer them to. We have a lack of both interim and permanent placements, places for people to go. Is that fair to say? Is that accurate? Is that why we have this gap between the county benchmark and our performance?
That's one reason, yes. But again, it's really all about building the relationships. And so when people are deployed and meet with somebody once, being receptive to what is being offered is unlikely.
Right, it takes repeated contact and building a relationship.
Correct.
So I think, again, back to, sorry, I keep referencing you, Councilmember Ortiz, but I think you hit on a key point here, which is I think it would be helpful for us, and maybe this is in the annual report on homelessness, to understand, okay, total dollars spent on outreach, the breakdown of the types of outreach, and then within the engagement model as opposed to the enforcement model, are we hitting that 38% benchmark that's the county standard or not, and why or why not? And so a follow-up question I would have that we may not be able to answer today, I don't know, I think we may have sent these over in advance, is how often when we're doing outreach are we able to offer shelter or housing, some safe managed place for a person to go? And by the way, going forward, I would include safe parking, for example, as an example, any safe managed placement. How often are we able to offer that when we're doing the engagement model versus the enforcement model?
We're really lucky because our proactive outreach teams are the direct referrers to our interim shelters. And so they are in the know whenever there's an opening, but it is dependent on having an opening. And all of our interim shelters are full, always. And we will fill them when there's an opening, when the units are ready, they're full. But I do know that if the interim shelters were available, if permanent affordable housing was available, it would make the outreach workers their lives much easier. We'd have way higher outcomes. And one other point I did want to make is that these numbers reflect both light touches and intensive case management, and our homeless management information system auto exits every quarter if there's no updates within the system. And so that's also contributing to the low outcome numbers. So I did want to make mention of that.
Okay. Now I know for our quick build interim sites, for example, we have a waiting list of 200-300 plus people who are waiting to get into an interim site. There's much more need than that. But I still think it's important for us to know, and I guess this comes back in the annual report, if we're spending $5 million doing outreach to folks who are experiencing homelessness, whatever percentage of that is proactive, engagement-based, I think it's important for us to know how often, for how many of those individuals are we able to offer a place for them to go. Without that, it's hard for us to know if this is the right balance. We have such limited resources that $5 million, if we're not even able to offer somebody a place to go, maybe we're overspending on outreach when we should be spending elsewhere. I'm not jumping to that conclusion, but that outreach may not be very effective if we don't have a place to offer someone. So I think we need to understand the data.
I'm so glad you said that, because most of the time people will say, well, add more outreach, but if we don't have enough places for people to go, then having more outreach teams it doesn't work very well. However, the outreach workers are very human-centered, and so they look at everybody with a different lens and whatever individualized services people may need. And so, yes, if there are beds available or units available, and over time there will be for people who are working consistently with the individuals, they're offered. But if people don't want those, they look at other solutions, and sometimes it's not the most appropriate placement. So outreach is very diverse. I mean, services can range from transporting to a medical appointment, to giving a schedule for Dignity on Wheels mobile showers, to placing somebody in a shelter bed. So services they range. And
I appreciate that, and I'll wrap up on this, but I just want to make this point. I think the council has rightly placed a priority on expanding safe managed places for people to go and getting people into safe and managed places as quickly as possible for a whole variety of reasons, not the least of which is just the immense human suffering we see on the streets. So given that, I think it's really important when the next time we come back and talk about outreach that we understand, setting aside perhaps the enforcement related actions that are immediate because there's, I don't know, somebody is laying on the sidewalk, setting aside the immediate enforcement reactive calls we must take, how often are we able to offer someone a safe managed place to go, and how often are they accepting? And if that's over different time frames, that's fine, because I hear you loud and clear, that may not be on the first contact. I appreciate that. I think we can handle the nuance in that, and that's fine, but I think we need to understand that to get a better sense of how these dollars are being spent, how effective our partners are. I understand we're deploying an encampment resolution grant along the creek right now, along our downtown stretch here. And we've run into quite a few folks who aren't ready to come indoors. I think that's important for us to understand. I think we need I understand that there's complexity and nuance, but we need the bird's eye view of the whole program, the types of calls, the types of interactions, and how effective it is, because we may not be spending these $5 million as effectively as we could be. And maybe we should be putting it more into expanding motel vouchers or something. I don't know, but I think we need the data. Okay, sorry, I certainly used up my 10 minutes. Councilmember Cohen, you are up.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you all for the presentation. Thank you, Kelly, for stepping in also and giving us some context on this. This is a complicated topic that often I see reports and things that oversimplify it and say, well, you spent this much money and there's still homelessness and therefore you're failing, right? I mean, that's an oversimplified version of the simplification that's out there. But I just wonder, and I know this report might not be the place for it. Obviously, this is HUD asking for specific measures. But people are going to, every time we talk about homelessness, people are going to read it and say, you're failing. We still have homeless people on the street. And so I think we need to find a way to continue to figure out what are the right metrics for each of the programs. And the metric for the program you just described, which is the reactive outreach, is not the same as the metric for the proactive outreach or the metric for our interim housing. But I don't think, I know that there's been some talk about maybe that's not the right place to spend money. I don't think any one of us, if we really thought about it, would give up that portion of the program, because we're the ones who call you and say, hey, we have a problem in our community right now. There's an encampment that's getting out of control, and we got to do something about it. And so we have to have that program to go out and talk, find out what's happening. But that program is not intended necessarily to place people in sites. And this is a mathematical problem, really. I mean, we have 5,000 to 6,000 homeless people and 500 spots for people to be. And so as long as all of our spots are full, our other programs are not intended to place people because we can't place them if we don't have the spots. So, this has been the frustration that we've all been dealing with. We can't just say, well, we're going to focus on making more spots, because even then it's only, 1,000 spots or 1,500 spots. There still will be residents who are saying, you're not helping us with the issue that's happening right in our neighborhood right now. And I don't think any of us, again, thinking it through, would accept not doing anything or not having people go out and at least address potential issues happening in those encampments. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I feel like we need to really think about what are the metrics for each of the programs and what is our measure of success. Because the measure of success of every program isn't reducing the number of people on the street. It can't be, as long as we have way more people on the street than we have places to place people. And that's both short-term and long-term. I want to point out, the real ultimate success is putting people into long-term permanent housing. We can't just give up on that portion and assume that if we create temporary housing that everybody's served. It has to be both, and I think that's why some of us fought really hard to make sure that we continue to focus on both in this year's budget. But maybe we just have a conversation next time. What are the proper metrics? Because when someone says, oh, we're spending $24 million on homelessness, the success rate is really low, we're not seeing homelessness get better, I'm not sure that that's the message that we want to be sending. And I know that the people on your teams are working really hard. I know that the people we're trying to contract with are working hard. But it's maybe not clear to people what their objectives are and whether they're being successful at those objectives. And so we need to think about what are the objectives we want to measure, and how are we going to judge whether we're spending that money effectively. So I don't know if there's a comment on any of that at this point, or just
Yeah, actually, thank you so much, Councilmember Cohen. So one thing that I just wanted to interject, and yes, you're absolutely correct. We need to find a way to message to the mayor and council and our community at large in terms of how we're doing in terms of all of the programs. I do want to remind the council that under our new structure of focus areas, the focus area addressing homelessness, we will be reporting to the council on our scorecard. So we're gonna get very specific in terms of what our outcome is, what the goal is, and then how we're gonna get there. And I think that will be an opportunity. We'll be reporting to City Council quarterly. I think we're coming at the end of October for our first report, and I think that will be the opportunity to share with you and our community about how we're tackling the issue, what our outcomes want to be, and what are those strategies to get to that outcome.
All right, yeah, thank you. This is time. There was a timely report today. There was a media report today, which I think was a bit misleading, about we spent $24 million and only 10% of 1,000 people have been served. We know we have 500 people currently in interim housing that we're serving, and some of that money is going to serving them. You could argue that's 100% effective because every spot is taken. We also have talked about the effective rate of those people being placed into a more permanent, stable position once they leave those sites and are exited from those sites. We know that number isn't 10%, but it's significantly higher than that. We know that there's other, obviously, things that we're still have growing pains on. We haven't yet figured out exactly how to fill up our RV parking site, but we're brand new at it, and I think we will figure that out and actually have a better outcome. We're doing a lot of enhanced cleanups in areas. We're figuring out where people can and can't be, and we're talking about a lot of these programs. I just think we have to figure out how to continually get that overall message out about the complexity of this work and the relative success given the amount of space we have, given the difficulty it is to get an agreement to use land at VTA or to do it in a neighborhood, and how much difficult it is. I mean, we keep hearing people say, well, let's just put all 24 million into building shelter. Well, we know that there's, the fight we'd have in terms of building locations for this is not as simple as that. And so I think it's important just for us to be able to have a response about all the different things that money is being spent on, and that there's multiple measures for different elements of those resources. So I think that's it for my comments.
Thanks, Councilmember. Vice Mayor Kamei.
Thank you. I just want to echo something that my colleague, Councilmember Cohen, just said in terms of looking at metrics of success. I think that's going to be critically important. I know that in your report, you do mention the goals and what they are, but I think that I would suggest going back and taking a look at them again and figuring out how do we get to better outcomes? Because I know this is a report of what has been. As we start moving to what will be, we will have less funding. I don't see, I mean, we had the ARP money, we had all kinds of money coming forward, and that is gone away. And so if we are going to have limited dollars, how do we make them count? I think that, having the 5 outreach programs is very aggressive, but did they get you to where you want to be? And I would say that you can do all the outreach you want, but if you're not going to do any follow-up, nothing happens. And so I'm a little bit sort of like interested in understanding, in your report you mentioned coordinating with the county. The county has a huge database system dealing with those who get services. So I'm wondering, as you do this outreach, as you collect whatever information or whatever it is that you do as you're building your engagement or relationship, do you share the database? Do you, when the information comes to you, do you say, oh, county, we have 10 people over here that can use your services? I mean, when you say to me in the report that it's coordinated, is it really coordinated? I don't know. But I just think that, being a little bit more intentional, as well as thinking about having less funds to do what you need to do. And the problem, as we all know, is huge. So how do you make limited dollars count?
Council members, thank you. Vice Mayor, thank you for the question. Kelly would be better to answer the detailed information about the homeless management information system. We all share access to that system. Kelly, do you want to?
And that's a county system?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the Homelessness Management Information System, HMIS, and I do have people on my staff who can access and draw data reports from the system. But yes, it is a countywide system, and we do coordinate with the county every week. We case conference, we work with their outreach teams. We're very coordinated.
That's good to know. I think that, the more data, the more follow-up of an individual, the more information, it's going to be able to help you make decisions. So I'm really glad to hear that. I think that, when I hear about the outreach programs, they sound fine, but how are you going to get them to be able to achieve better outcomes? I mean, you mentioned, oh, well, if we had some place to put them. I think that as a council, we are trying. We are trying to find EIH sites, we're trying to find RV sites, car sites, any place that we could possibly, use. But, how do we get to a better place?
Thanks, Vice Mayor. So we did spend this last year, as I mentioned, really taking a hard look at how we can improve our outcomes and our programming for outreach. And we decided that a SOAR model or a safe encampment resolution model where you are all resources in one targeted area works. And so we are going to be looking at one or more contracts, probably two, to really focus in on and target specific areas and work in those areas, work really hard, all hands on deck with everybody who's living in that targeted area, downtown being one of the target areas all the time throughout the life of the program, and work with everybody until we've resolved their homelessness. And then we work with Beautify SJ to resolve the encampment and move on to another targeted area.
Yeah.
So we definitely have a plan in place.
Well, that's good to hear. I want to say something that perhaps is not popular, but at some point, we need a sustainability model because, the way I see this, there's no end. There's no end to how much we're going to spend, what is it going to it just seems like at some point, we pick up trash, we clean it up, we go back, it's something that I think will continue to grow unless we do something differently. I don't know what that differently is, but I'm concerned that this is not sustainable. And that at some point, I know we have some funding through some of the measures, but they're limited. And I don't know that we're going to be able to keep drawing from the general fund to be able to continue paying for things that, there's no end in sight. So as we think about how we deal with things in the future, I think, there have been some solutions that have been brought forward by the mayor, other council members, in terms of being able to solve the issue. But in terms of dollar amount, this is going to continue to grow. And I'm very concerned about that. So as we start thinking about, outreach and this and that and here and there, I want to think about how we're going to pay for it. So I just put that out there because I am concerned. And I know a lot of my residents are concerned as well.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Certainly a very important question that we're all grappling with. Councilmember Batra?
First comment is that your report on Table B, which I read, every one of the goals is far exceeded what you did. So that would indicate that we're doing phenomenally better than one would ever expect us to be able to do with this money, because some places you have exceeded the goal by 279%. Okay. Especially you look at the paths outreach. Okay. I'm not sure if the community feels that we are doing that well. So there's something either we are not measuring correctly or the impressions are not correct. Because if we're exceeding the goals in every one of these 7 categories and we don't feel that good about it, I would ask you to look at your measures. Really, are we really doing that well? But the second one, which even concerns me more, the example you laid out at the bottom of the page, where you talk about an example of what the Home First, who the Home First helped, okay, and the service they had to give it to. Somebody who had just moved from Georgia to here and you had to find them the accommodation because they were on the street. Okay. One of the community's problem which I've been hearing is the ones who want to help everybody. They do believe that we owe a lot to the people who are in San Jose, the people who built the city of San Jose, and Paul keeps reminding us every time he gets a chance to talk that it is built by certain people who are still here and they're becoming homeless. But the example which you put out there is going to reinforce the image of the people who say the one we are helping are not the people who really were either here, or the ones who were here, we are not helping them. So I don't know if this example, we should help everybody, but this is going to reinforce the problem which people believe that we are really not spending our dollars in the right direction. And I'm not sure what the solution I can offer you is. That's the reading it will come out, because you were helping with tremendous amount of our resources with outreach, people who had just moved from Georgia here. Now you had to help them, you got the call. But I don't know how to address that with the people who have been complaining about that our dollars are not going towards helping the people who build this city. Okay? So you can take that comment in whatever way you want to, but keep that in mind. This is the example you chose to put out. So maybe you need to put out some better examples of what we have helped. And I do.
Councilmember, I'm sorry, was that a question?
Sure.
Or were you still going? Go ahead.
Sorry.
I wasn't sure if you were directing a question at staff. I just wanted to clarify.
So
Sorry.
Councilmember
I'm sorry, Councilor, was that a question that you wanted staff to respond to, or
Yeah,
not? I just wanted to make sure we were clear if you
So
were
I gave
expecting
the
a
reading.
response.
I want a response, what comment, if they have any, on that. Yes, do want to hear that.
Thank you, Councilmember Batra. And I think you noted in your comment, so obviously when we are contacted, we get calls. And in this example, the call was about a parked RV on a city street. And it just so happened, right, the people living in the RV, just moved to San Jose. So we don't always know circumstances. But again, we're responding to a call about a parked RV on a city street. But certainly your comment, it is noted.
Yeah, so I think you did the right thing, your people did the right thing. But what I'm saying is, the example you have chosen to put in there, the only example you have put in there of the help extended, is going to go against the people who are very concerned about where our money is going. And this is one of the common comment we get, that we don't know if we are helping the people who really were in San Jose, or is San Jose attracting the people because we help? So which is the cause and the effect ratios? So I think we need to be careful in the examples which we highlight. That's would be my comment on it, is that, okay? And the other portion I already told you is that I think we need to make sure that, the example, or not the example, but the measures you're putting out there, they seem to be too good compared to what the feeling of the community is, how much we are able to help the people and all that. So would like you to examine what you really report for us.
Okay, great. Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Torres.
Great. Thank you, Rosalind, for your presentation and the rest of your housing team. I appreciate it. And most importantly, thank you, Kelly, for your comments and your presentation. I know you weren't originally part of it, but some of my colleagues had real concerns about the audit, especially when it comes to outreach. And we all know this crisis is massive. It's major. We see it every day. We hear it every day, right? Especially folks who live in downtown and work in downtown or represent downtown, right? And so this audit solidifies, the concerns that our residents have, the concerns that we have, but that together we can work together, right, to make sure that we are doing what's right for our unhoused community. And I'm not gonna continue to mention the numbers or the statistics that we don't like in this audit, right? We all know that the housing crisis is a major one, but as a downtown council member and somebody who walks to their meetings through downtown or sees Home First in our neighborhoods dealing with our unhoused, I want to give major kudos to PATH and Home First. I see PATH consistently in downtown every single day, working with our unhoused residents who are in front of businesses, right? Especially those who continue to be in front of those businesses, right? Making the direct outreach and having the bag of whatever they have and all the resources in their bag. And in Japantown, we unfortunately are getting a lot of RVs parking in our neighborhoods, and I see Home First out knocking on these RVs, and so we know it's what's happening, right? And so I just want to give kudos to not only our housing department, but the folks who are doing the outreach for our unhoused. It's a crisis, and this audit is not perfect, and when we're dealing with our unhoused community, it's never going to be perfect, right? And we're never going to make folks happy, right? But that together we can make sure that our folks are getting housed in whatever way they can be housed, right? And so I just wanted to provide those comments and make sure that Home First and PATH, let them know that I know that they're doing their best in with whatever resources they have. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, council member. Also want to thank staff for the report. Appreciate it. Good discussion. And I just want to, just quick final reflection here. I do want to make sure we don't psych ourselves out into thinking we don't have a plan. I think we do. And I want to just contextualize my questions very briefly here. I think we've been very clear that we have a two-pronged approach at a very high level here of wanting to accelerate the rate at which we get people into safe, managed environments, including both short-term interim solutions and long-term permanent housing solutions. I think we're very clear that that's the priority, having a home for everyone, even if that starts with an interim or transitional placement, which could even include a safe parking site. The other part of that two-pronged approach, which we all embrace through the March message and the June message, is that we obviously also need to make sure that we are better managing conditions in encampments and other unsheltered environments for the benefit of both our unhoused neighbors and the broader community, and that both of those are our dual mandates. My line of questioning was specific to outreach and how it fits into driving those two outcomes. And I would like to see the performance data that helps us understand to what extent the roughly $5 million we spend, not just the $1.4 million in HUD dollars, but everything we do on outreach is driving toward those two big pillars of helping people get a home, which may start with an interim placement or not, and better managing on-street conditions for both unhoused residents and the broader community. And as we move toward this scorecard model and we're checking in every 90 days on progress, I think we need to look at every dollar we spend through the lens of how well it's driving at the top level outcomes that the council has, in most cases, already identified. It's not like we're starting from scratch here. So I didn't want my line of questions to open up some kind of Pandora's box of we don't have a plan, what do we do? It's just, I want to make sure we know on something like outreach that it's actually driving toward one or both of those key outcomes we've already identified as our sort of North Star right now for our work on homelessness. Okay, I didn't hear a motion, did I? Did someone move the report? We'll let Councilor Cohen.
I'll move acceptance of the report.
Thank you. Second by Candelas, and let's vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, great. Thank you all. We are on to open forum, opportunity for members of the public to comment on city business that was not on today's agenda.
Okay, I have Jordan followed by Paul.
Thank you, council members who rightly pointed out that Vision Zero issues go beyond waste management. Safe, complete streets need to be a cohesive citywide strategy. Individual departments can make important improvements, and I stand by my comments about what IWN can do on their own, but in many cases, there must be cooperative and symbiotic programs to enhance safety. Every single department in this city, unless they don't operate any services in or near the public right-of-way, needs to be proactively identifying and delivering structural changes ASAP at every available opportunity. No one can be saying, not my problem, or nothing I can do about that. And the city manager and council need to hold departments accountable to that. On streets with parking and unprotected bike lanes, DOT can paint red zones by each driveway, large enough for trash bins. Convert simple bike lanes into buffered bike lanes with buffers wide enough to contain bins plus extra room. Multifamily and commercial areas need dedicated zones for dumpster setouts, delivery vehicles, and so on. The downtown core around San Fernando does a decent job of this, but more needs to be done elsewhere. SJPD should not park in bike lanes unless their lights are flashing and then they are addressing an emergency situation. City manager must push departments to envision cross-department projects and must educate staff about safety issues and regulations. I'd like to call attention to Municipal Code 9-10-430C. No person shall place any garbage container in any place or in any manner such that the container impedes normal vehicle traffic. This includes bike lanes. Also, California Vehicle Code 21211C. No person may place or park any object upon any bikeway which impedes or blocks the normal and reasonable movement of any bicyclist unless the placement or parking is necessary for safe operation. Trash in bike lanes does not qualify for an exception. The city website page residential home collection and setouts indicates that trash should be placed at the curb outside of the bike lane. Putting trash in the lane is not necessary. Thank you.
Paul followed by Surinder, and Surinder is in person, and then we'll go back to Zoom.
Thank you. Paul Soto from the Horseshoe. With that statistic that I've quoted, and it has never changed, the never breaking 25% of ELI and BLI, it doesn't matter what policy you have in terms of outreach, there's no place for the person to go. And it's because of that deficit that was created intentionally. So the rhetoric is not matching the reality. The reality of the situation is that those deficits were created intentionally by the housing department because they were given orders by the people that signed that non-disclosure agreement. And there's people on the city council right now that were privy to those orders, that were on people's staff when that non-disclosure agreement was signed. So, and they're silent on this issue. And that's what's disgusting about this, is that Vato is silent. He's kept his mouth shut and he hasn't said anything. He just comes on here like he smiles and he thinks he's real cute. And he thinks that if he just keeps ignoring the situation and the reality of the situation, that somehow or another it's gonna go away. Well, we already know that you're somebody's lapdog, homeboy. That's obvious. That's obvious. What isn't obvious is what the city is going to do about it. What is the city going to do to amend those deficits that were created intentionally by this housing department? I'm sick and tired of this rhetoric, and I'm sick and tired of my time being wasted. Okay, because that's the urgency of the city is not commensurate with this urgency of the situation. Now, once again, I am hoping that my vice mayor, Kamei, is considering running for mayor. We need her type of leadership inside this city council in order to direct it.
Surinder?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for opening the meeting today with our DOS. I just wanted to address the council because of what's happening between Canada and India and then the US, and tell you a little bit about my story and my family so that I can continue to advocate that we get protection. My brother was born on May 27, 1984. 4 days later, the Indian government attacked the Golden Temple in an operation called Operation Blue Star. My dad was a leader in the Sikh community, helping build the San José Sikh Gurdwara along with my grandparents. He passed away on November 3rd, 2006. His funeral was on November 11th, 2006, 11/11. In 2019, before I was illegally locked on a 5150 and almost labeled as gravely disabled, I was staying at the W Hotel in room 1111. And so I want to continue to urge to let you know the gravity of the safety that my family needs and all Sikhs need, and I mean, just basic human rights, but that we do get targeted. My brother has given birth to, well, his wife has given birth to a son, and I worry for his safety very much because he's going to be raised as a very conscious Sikh, surrounded by our prayers regularly, and he will one day be targeted. And I hope the city of San Jose continues to bring that awareness and helps keep us safe and helps me keep me safe, because I'm actually not suicidal. I very much want to live, and I still hope to see my son again soon. Thank you.
Blair, followed by Brian.
Hi, Blair Beekman. For the past 10 years now, good guidelines, legal precedents, and best practices have been developing from a number of places at the local level towards better human rights, civil rights, and worker rights practices in this country. With the generational and genocidal events of 9/11 and COVID-19 for the past 20 years, there are good guidelines and legal examples that can now we can help develop at this time towards a more open, shared process of community dialogue, participation, and public oversight, and how each local community can begin to redefine and reestablish their own best practices for a more sustainable future. As these are UN ideas and concepts, some of them meant for local communities, as everyday persons at the local level, we should be able to begin to more directly ask the UN to follow up, to practice, and to be more accountable to these good new concepts and examples that are developing at this time. To not cause harm to people in community decision-making is part of a love life philosophy from the city of Oakland. It is a philosophy of openness and sharing instead of secrecy, opacity, and exclusivity that I hope can grow across the state and country. Interestingly, these are the good efforts also help towards more positive economic models and practices as well. I hope the Lahaina area and the county of Maui and Hawaii will want to consider and possibly begin to better follow how the state of California and local communities, including San Diego, Santa Rosa, Napa County, Paradise, and San Francisco Bay Area are all trying to better learn from the previous mistakes, both accidental and on purpose, from the previous decade in local natural disaster preparedness and planning. Good luck in how we can help well-established and current good human rights practices, community participation, and planning can be of help for the future rebuilding efforts.
Brian, followed by Mary Jane.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you for all you've done. That was, I really appreciate the effort. Just something that's way off the beaten path. February 14th, 1990, one of the fastest objects ever launched by the human race, pretty much left the primary solar system, but before it passed through the rings of Saturn, they turned it around, they aimed it back, and they took a picture of our little blue dot, and that's where we live. I recommend that you look up on YouTube. It's called Pale Blue Dot with Carl Sagan, and listen to it. That can go from family level all the way up to international level. Considering that NASA was primarily reinforced through people from Project Paperclip, I always thought that was funny that a lot of ardent, very violent Nazi people came over here instead of facing Nuremberg to build our space program. I don't know. I find a lot of rather sad irony in that. But it's why people have a hard time understanding the government. But it's complex, and whenever there's more than two human beings involved in something, politics and complexity enter into it. But there is one real simple thing. We're all just one major event from being homeless. Maybe some two, but most of us, and I'm including people on the council. And if it's an emergency, and I would say it is, we should do things like what they did to build, to develop the nuclear bomb, that's a dumb thing to say, but they built entire cities in less than a year. Of course, they had unlimited resources, but we've got to think in terms of, and I didn't run for office, but I want to help. Thank you. Have a good day.
Mary Jane?
Hi, good afternoon. I hope you can hear me. My name is Mary Jane Hatala. I have been a registered nurse, master's prepared, UCSF here in the Santa Clara County for 50 years. My specialty area was psychiatry, and I managed the unhoused population for one of the major insurance carriers. And it was a tough job, and I was unfortunately terminated for going out and trying to sending nurses out to see these members because they wanted to save money. Second of all, I am a cat feeder. I'm retired now, and I'm a cat feeder. And I saw the report in the San Jose Mercury News about the animal shelter. And Maddie's report was done several years ago, and there was no follow-up on the auditing. And animals are cats especially are dying in our animal shelter and being put out on the adoption floor for adoption with major injuries, and volunteers are pulling them out. And people who are working in the animal shelter, unfortunately, are being terminated for being outspoken and whistleblowing, and volunteers are actually being terminated as well. So the mayor, I know, has been calling for volunteers, but it's really hard to keep a volunteer when the situation is so dire. So I urge the council, please, to do an audit on the San Jose Animal Shelter on Monterey. Thank you.
Caller 6910.
Hi. If there's one good thing in the housing department report, and I use this in air quotes, is that it reinforces what advocates and unhoused people have said for years. They are not being properly served. Led by the mayor, they are being talked into tiny homes that lead to nowhere. Millions are going to vendors to perform outreach to create millions are going to vendors to perform outreach to create relationships of trust in an effort to get people off the streets, but these vendors have abysmally low achievement levels. This isn't new information. Advocates and unhoused people have told you about this for years. Rather than change this, change vendors, hold vendors accountable, the council seeks to punish the people who aren't being served. You seek to segregate them into certain areas. You seek to further stigmatize them as a monolithic group away from all schools and daycare centers. Why do you punish the victims of your flawed decision-making? Why do you punish people who have tried your tiny homes and been thrown out? Why do you punish people who have housing vouchers and can't find housing? Why do you punish people PRNS and Caltrans relentlessly sweep like a cat batting about a mouse? Why do you blame the victim? Over 150 people have already died on the streets this year. Why do you continue to kill unhoused people by insisting on continuing contracts with vendors who underperform across the board? Why don't you fund a city-county committee of staff, advocates, and unhoused people to travel and evaluate other programs in an effort to find new vendors? Unhoused people have suffered through trauma. They are generally mistrustful. They don't think people will keep their word when it comes to helping them. It is critically important that all of who work with them stay true to our word, that we follow through when we make contact and offers of help. When we break that trust, people can spiral further down. That may be the last time someone is willing to reach out.
Back to the council.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.